Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Can you all see me? Somebody say something. I'm trying to be quiet because Piper was, Piper was barking, and I think he thought somebody was here, but he was barking at me. So how is everybody here? It's chucking it down here as well, Brenda. Really, really heavy. It's awful. Martin's in the kitchen cooking my tea for a change. Somebody just say something because I can't see. Oh, hello. You can see me. Good. Okay, so I'm really pleased that you can see me. So, hi. Let's see then. We've got Anessa, we've got Jane, we've got Wendy, Kath, we've got Jojo. Judy's here, Anna's here, Karen, Sandra, Dawn, Meryl. Andy's here. Oh, it's lovely to see you all. Elizabeth is here too. So I'm in my sewing room. We're going to be sewing, well, I'm going to be sewing the Mayfair dress tonight. I don't know about anybody else. Oh, thank you, Eileen. Hi, Eileen. Hi, Karen. Hi, Antonia. Gosh, I'm all over from Vancouver. Oh, I love Vancouver. I want to go back so bad. Hey. Hey, everybody. Hey, Marion. Hi, Denby. So, okay. So I don't know if you are sewing the Mayfair with me or whether you have another project or whether you've just come here just to join in the chat and say hello. It's always nice, isn't it? Just to say hello. Hi, Diane. I'll tell you what I'm wearing first. I'll do that bit now. I have put something handmade on because I thought you'd probably want to see me in something handmade. I did think about putting my Mayfair dress on that I've made before, but it's under the bed, packed away because it's it's a summer dress. So I am wearing the I keep calling it the Paper Theory, and it's not the Paper Theory. It is the French Poetry Pleiades dress. I think they did two versions, Pleiades 1 and 2. This is version 1. I'll stand up and show you. So it's got like little ruffle sleeves, and it has a little mandarin collar and buttons down the front, gathering here. And I added on a ruffle at the bottom. So that's what I'm wearing tonight. I made this back in October, I think it was. Andy says, can you send Martin over to cook my tea too? It's too busy here, Andy, sorry. We're having fusion chicken tonight, whatever that is. Fusion chicken. So he's just preparing some veg now. Toaster sweater. Baiku says he's doing toaster sweater. Yeah, definitely toaster sweater weather. We still don't have any heating, but I have my little oil-fired radiator on down here, and it's quite toasty in here at the minute, so I'm okay. So sewing yoga is still tracing off the Mayfair pattern. There's only 4 pieces. You'll be fine. You can do it. Sarah says she's adding the piping to a closet carpoof. Ooh, that I'm making my dad for Christmas. Denby Sews What is making a Mayfair too. Fantastic. What fabric have you chosen? And Joanne says, love your dress. Can't imagine no heating. Oh, it's been difficult, shall we say, very difficult. Right, so I have had a very productive day. I've got everything cut out, and I am lining my Mayfair because it is, well, I'm using a sequin fabric, so I'm a little bit concerned it might just be a bit too scratchy if it's not lined. So I'm lining it, but the Mayfair doesn't give you any instructions for lining, so that's going to be interesting because I'm not going to be lining the collar bit. for those of you that have made the Mayfair before. And I know Eileen Rafferty, who's here, has made the Mayfair before, because it was her lovely dress that inspired me to make my first one. So, you've had a long day at work, Eileen. I've had a day off, which has been quite nice, but it's been quite stressful, very stressful this morning. But if you watch today's vlog tomorrow, it'll probably be up tomorrow. You'll hear all about that. Helen says, hi, lovely Rachel. How are you feeling today? Oh, thank you. I'm fine, thank you. I am better. As I say, this morning was quite stressful. A few stressful things going off this morning, but this afternoon I've just been chilling. Actually, I've not done a lot, and I've just been watching a few vlogs and watching a few vlogmases. Is everybody enjoying everybody's vlogmases? Because there's quite a few to watch this year, which is really, really lovely. It's starting to get me in the Christmas spirit. We've still not got many decorations up. We need to get on with that. So Pluto's in here as well. I don't know if I just turn you around. Can you see him? So he decided that he wanted to take part, and he spent half of the evening so far sat on my pattern pieces, which isn't very helpful. But Martin's just taking him out, actually. And Piper will probably be chasing him around the kitchen now. So if you hear him barking in the background, try and ignore him. Right, so I have cut out all my pattern pieces, and I have adapted the front pattern piece for a lining. I don't know how much we're going to get sewn tonight. I don't know how long we're going to go on for, just until everybody's fed up. I know it's a school night, work night, whatever. And I'm at work tomorrow, but I'm not at work too early, so that's okay. So I think, can we have Martin live in for BMS? I'm pretty sure he probably will at some point. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do BMS, definitely. So yes, I don't know how far we'll get, but we can, we'll just see how we get on. And I've got my sewing machine already set up. And somebody mentioned on yesterday's vlog about sewing sequins. I think they were a beginner and they've not sewn with sequins before, and if it's really difficult. And actually, it wasn't anything I'd considered. Now, I have sewn sequin fabric before when I made bridesmaid dresses for my dad's wife for their wedding. That was a few years ago, and I can't remember what needle I used. I think I just used a normal needle, to be honest. And I think this will be okay because it is a jersey fabric. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see how we get on. But certainly cutting these pattern pieces out, I had sequins everywhere, so I've had to do a little bit of tidying. So hey Zoe, very happy to be here. Still working, but I will keep an eye on things. Love your videos, Rachel. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Pluto and his big bushy tail, Anna. Yes, he's always swishing it. Yes. Eileen says, absolutely loving the vlogmases. I'm way behind, but we'll catch up at some point. It's a nice problem to have. Absolutely. It's great for when you've got, that bit of time where you just want to sit and not do very much when the weather's bad, and that's a really nice time to have, isn't it? Where you can just sit and think, oh, I'll catch up on a few vlogmases. I tend to catch up on them when I go to bed. I just take my iPad up with me and then put a couple on when I go to bed, and that's always nice to do. Hi from New Zealand, Lynn. Hi. Gosh, what time is it over there? I can't even think. Right, we better get cracking, haven't we? Because I think I've been live, 10 minutes already, and we need to get cracking with some sewing. So I've got my instructions with me, and I've read through these today because it is a couple of years since I made this dress. So I don't know how well this is going to go. I'm going to need my glasses because I can't read without them. But I am going to make the maxi version. Please excuse my fingernails. I've been procrastinating all day that I was going to repaint my fingernails, and I just haven't got around to it. So yes, I'm going to make the maxi version, but I'm going to make 3/4 length sleeves with them, which is this middle one here. So I have got everything cut out, and we'll start with the shell first because I think that's probably the most interesting bit that you'll guys want to see anyway. There's 4 pattern pieces. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern pieces for this dress, and it's a fairly straightforward sew from what I remember. Just reading through the pattern pieces again, it's just the collar construction which can be a little bit taxing, I would say. Jackie says it's 7 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand. Wow. Wow. It is here in the UK. Well, as you know, it is 6 o'clock, 10 past 6 now. Sandra says beads or sequins can be removed from the seam allowance before stitching. If machine won't go over, you would stitch them back on by hand afterwards. Yes, I did. I remember when I sewed the bridesmaid dresses before, I know when I stitched them, I took the sequins off the seam allowance to remove bulk. So the sequins on this, if I just show you the pattern piece. Let's take the pins out first. There's one more there. So this is the fabric that I've got. It's very Christmassy. And if you can see, it's not heavily sequined. So there's lots of gaps in between the sequins where I think we'll be okay sewing. So I might not have to remove too much. The sequins are sort of two sizes. There's, you have another look, there's really sort of big sequins and then there's the smaller ones as well. So yeah, I'm hoping we'll be okay. So pattern piece wise, I'm just looking because this is the same pattern piece that I used when I made this dress before. I made size 12 and I'm going with that again because when I checked the finished measurements, even though I've gained weight, which I've talked about endlessly, haven't I, the last few days, the finished garment measurements for the size 12 I should still fit into. And obviously this is a stretch fabric as well. So it should be, fingers crossed, it should be okay. Lengthwise, I don't think I have actually added anything lengthwise to this at all. Doesn't look like it. No, it is just the straight pattern as it is. And from what I remember, the finished dress was actually pretty good, a pretty good length on me. And I'm, oops, I've just done that on the floor. Excuse me 1 second. Yeah, from what I remember, the finished length on me last time was pretty perfect, and I'm 5'10", so okay. So, oh wow, Denby Sews What is already onto the tacking the pleats. Oh, she's unpicked it already. Has anybody got the advent calendar from Andrea? Because this was mine today's. I've only got the 12-day one, little unpicker. So I've got this to hand because no doubt I will be unpicking as well because I just tend to rush ahead. Oh, hello, Vicky. Hi, Louise. And hi, Erica. Right then. Okay. So if you're sewing along with me, then we'll get started. Obviously, if you're doing your own project, that's absolutely fine. If anybody wants to ask any questions as we work through, please do. I will try, and it's a while since I've done one of these live, so it's going to be awkward answering questions and sewing at the same time, but I'm sure we'll get there. Don't worry, Dawn. Welcome. It's absolutely fine. So we're just about to make a start. So I believe the seam allowance, I'm just checking, I'm assuming it's 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters. Let me see if I can find it. No, it's 1 centimeter, 3/8 of an inch, unless otherwise stated. That was a good job. I read that. Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. You can never have enough unpickers. Absolutely. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Don't worry. I know it's a really awkward time. The reason I chose tonight was because I'm working most of the weekends leading up to Christmas, and I didn't want to impose on Sian's live because obviously Sian does her live hangouts on a Sunday, and I didn't want to clash with that at all. So generally, I like to do them on a Friday evening if I can, because I think leading into the weekend, I know lots of us do work weekends, but lots of people don't as well. And I think that probably fits with most people to give them the best chance of joining. But I struggle with fitting that in before Christmas, and I wanted this to be a really nice sort of festive sew along, really. And the only other date that I could manage on a Friday was I think it was the 17th, which that's when I was going to do it. And then I realized that that's when the Stitch Sisters live Christmas party is. So I couldn't do that at the same time as that. So that's why we're here tonight on a school night. So at the minute, I've got a big glass of juice to see me through, because I've not had my dinner. But when I've had my dinner, I'm sure Martin will bring a glass of Prosecco in as well. So we better get started, haven't we, before I start drinking that and it all goes wrong. Right. Okay. So hopefully if you've got everything cut out, what we're going to do first is, now it says, the first thing you should do is cutting 2 pieces of clear elastic or stay tape for the back shoulder. Without stretching, pin each piece of elastic or tape to the wrong side of the back bodice shoulder inside the 1 centimetre seam allowance, leaving a short tail at each end to grip while sewing, and sew with a zigzag stitch. So I have mine ready somewhere. So I've got my piece of elastic here. This is half of the 50 centimetre piece of elastic that you need for the full dress, because the other piece is for the ruching at the front, which we'll get to later on. So I'm going to cut this in half first. And then I'm just going to grab my back pattern pieces. No, that's my front pattern piece. This is my back pattern pieces. Okay. Oh, you see, I've got sequins everywhere already, falling apart. Okay, so your back pattern piece should be cut on the fold, and obviously they are the shoulder bits there, one there and one there. And then on the wrong side, within the 1 centimetre seam allowance, you need to apply a clear elastic and stitch that in place. So I'm going to do that now on my machine. I don't know what settings you use for your zigzag stitch when you're using clear elastic. Those of you that have never done this before and wondering why on earth are you applying clear elastic to a shoulder seam, because it's maybe not something you've not come across before, it's basically just to stabilize it, because this is a jersey fabric, and in jersey fabrics, especially in something heavy, I mean this is heavy as well because all the sequins weigh it down, but a heavy jersey fabric that's long will sort of tend to drag and stretch and pull. So the elastic in the seam allowance at the top just stabilizes it, so it stops it stretching. So settings wise, I tend to I don't fuss too much about what setting I have my zigzag stitch on when I'm just sewing something like this. So currently mine is set up at a width of 2.7 and a length of 3. So we'll see what that looks like. Okay, that's okay. So that's gone in something like that. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm just going to apply the other piece to the other side. Hi, Janet. Welcome. Just finished dinner. Nice. Did you have anything nice? Grazina says, hello, Rachel. Hi. Noelia, hi Noelia. Yes, I'm good, thank you. Anne mentions, try the new Mariflex Gutterman thread. It is amazing. Straight stitch on a jersey. Really? Wow. That sounds good. Noelia sets it about 2x2 or thereabouts. Yeah, it's just a case of playing about with settings, isn't it? Just to see what works. Yeah, I think this step is one of those things that when you're a beginner, you don't understand the benefit of it, and it's maybe one of those things that you might skip. It certainly would have been one of the things I would have skipped when I was a beginner. Right, let's sew this other piece on. Okie dokes. So clear elastic is now in place on both edges of the back bodice piece. So we should be moving across now to step 2, which is the front collar facing. So it says finish the outer edge of the dress front collar facing with a zigzag or an overlock stitch. Now, I think what I'm going to do with mine is, because I don't fancy putting this through the overlocker because I'm not sure how the blade will cope with those sequins, and yeah, that could be a bit nasty. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to actually do for this fabric is probably just turn over the seam allowance and stitch it so that it just looks like a nice and neat. I think that's probably the best thing to do for this. So I'm just going to press it on my iron, which is plugged in and warmed up. But if you've got a different fabric to this, obviously if you've just got a normal jersey, you can obviously use an overlocker or zigzag it as it says, or you can just turn it over and just run a very, can you hear Piper in the background? He's doing the I need to go out for a walk bark. That's what he's doing. Imogen says, hello Rachel, so happy to catch you live. Hi Imogen, welcome. I'm glad you could join us. Right, I'm just going to give this a press. Again, I don't know what pressing Sequins is going to be like either, so that's going to be fun. And then we'll get this, I'm going to get this edge sewn. So that's one. And 2. So that coped with it quite well, actually. I've got it on quite a high heat, but there's no water in it. So if you can see there, let me just hold that up. So this is looking from the wrong side. I've just folded over the edge of the front curve piece. Yeah, the outer edge of the dress front collar facing. So I've just pressed it over, and then I'm just going to stitch it from the probably the wrong side, actually, just to stitch that down. So when it's looking from the front, it's a nice neat edge. So we'll see how we get on with that. We'll see how this needle copes with the sequins, because I've just got a normal needle in here. I haven't even got a jersey needle in. Oh, hang on. I've still got it on zigzag. That's no good. So those of you that are making the Mayfair dress, when you've got them done, or even any of the projects that you're making, I'm sure most of you are part of the Peeps group. So I'd really love you to post your makes in there so that we can all have a look. I think that would be really nice. That's one done. Let's have a look. I'll just move that out of the way because I nearly sewed that again. I'll just do the other side. So I don't know, those of you that watched my vlog yesterday, the offensive 7537 is just in the corner there. In the naughty corner of the sewing room. It will fit at some point. Okay, where were we up to? Janet's having cheese, or had cheese, potato and sausage. Nice. Sharon says, good morning from New Zealand. Very hot here. Oh gosh, I'm so jealous. Judy says, yes, she's seen Bugweeds promoting the new Gutterman thread. Wow. Janet says it was yummy. I'm sure it was. And oh, sorry, is it Amy? I'm really sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong. It is amazing. I use the Mariflex for my Westcliff wrap dress. Lovely. Noelia, I stabilize shoulders even if the pattern doesn't cover it, just in case. Yeah, it's always a good idea. Imogen says, hello, Rachel. So happy to catch you. Oh, we said that earlier, didn't we? Caro Mary 07, Piper woke. Is it Curden up? Confused puppet. Oh, bless. Noelia, don't forget to like the video. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Noelia. Erica says, I'm hoping for inspo to try this dress again. The grade between sizes on this one is so giant. I'm a bit stuck. Yes, it is a bit, isn't it? Yes, it is, Amy. Oh, wonderful. Right. Okay. So I have now just finished those edges of the collar facing. If I just pull that back a bit, hopefully you can see. So that is just stitched down. Oh, husband's here. They'll want to see you to say hello. He's bringing me gin. That's a very big glass. It could all go wrong. Horribly wrong.
Hello.
Thank you, dear.
Sorry if there's a dog barking in the background,
no,
by the way.
We've already discussed this. They want you to do BMS later as well.
Yeah. Live at my public one. Live
BMS. Okay. So, instructions then. What do we do next? Right. Okay. So, staying with the front pattern pieces, we need to create the pleats, which will form the collar and how it drapes round the front. So the upper edge of the dress front will form the centre back of the collar and the collar facing. Start by pleating the centre back of the collar halves on the 2 dress front pieces. There are 6 notches in this section, and you will create these pleats by bringing together each pair of notches. The fabric should be pleated away from the facing. See the arrows on your pattern piece. Stitch the pleats in place within the seam allowance. The unpleated section will form the collar facing. So if you're doing this dress with me, what you should have done with any luck is when you cut out your pattern pieces, you should have cut out your notches for the pleats at the top. Okay, so this is the front pattern piece that we've just been finishing that edge of the facing. And then what we're going to do is, working from the right side, you will need to bring your notches together, moving away from your facing. So this is the right front, as you can see it. And we're going to create the pleats like so, like that. And then we're going to, well, I'm going to baste it. Okay, so let's get that done. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Jenny says, I've just finished cutting out my Mayfair dress. Don't worry, Jenny, you're not too far behind. Well done. Delta Foxtrot New Zealand, hi. Erica says, now it's a party. Oh, with the gin. Yeah, absolutely. Jenny says, yes, please, Martin. Cara Mario 7, hi, Martin, gin, what a good idea. Absolutely. You know, it's evening now. Sandra says, what stitch do you use for stretch fabric? I use narrow zigzag. The stretch stitch on my machine is hard work. Yeah, it depends on the type of stretch fabric I'm using. Sometimes I will use a zigzag, and sometimes I will use the stretch stitch. But it depends how the fabric behaves. I find, you know, some stretch fabrics, the stretch stitch works really well for, but it's time consuming. And I always worry that trying to unpick a stretch stitch, if you make a mistake, can be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, I tend to use zigzag, or to be honest, if I'm just stitching things together, then I will tend to use my overlocker, to be honest, most of the time. But obviously I have an overlocker, and I appreciate some people don't. So, but certainly before I had my overlocker, I would tend to use zigzag. But the other thing as well is my machine. I mean, I have a faff machine. You can just see it just there, look. And it will use any thread, but if I'm using zigzag, it will only do zigzag with Gutterman thread. It's really temperamental. Any other stitch, it's absolutely fine with any type of thread. But if I want to do a stretch stitch, whether it's the lightning bolt one or the zigzag stitch, it does not like any of the other thread but Gutterman. It's a bit temperamental like that. Jenny says, hi, I'm sorry I'm late. Not at all, Jenny. Thank you for joining. Dawn says, Christmas gin, would be rude not to. Absolutely. Anne says, hi from Norway. Wow, I bet it's cold over there. Have you got lots of snow, Anne? I love snow. We've had nothing here yet. Diane Nelson, hello to your husband. Lorianne says, hi, Rachel, hugs from Oregon. Hi, Lorianne. Are you home now? Have you had a wonderful cruise? Erica says, stretch stitch is harder to count than serge. It absolutely is. It's awful. I'm just going to put the juice to one side and drink this, in as though he's brought me it. Yes, stretch stitch is horrendous to unpick. So I'm just pinning my pleats in place on this neckline piece, and I'm just going to baste them. Okay, so that's one side pleated. So that is the right front done, and then we need to do the other side. So I've got the left front now as I'm looking at you, and I'm going to do the same with these notches here. So I'm just going to work away from, I'll have to have it facing me while I do this. There we go. So has everybody got their Christmas shopping done yet? I've got most of mine done, but I've still got a few bits and pieces to do. Isaac messaged me earlier because when we were in Sheffield on Saturday at the Christmas market, he bought his sister a sweater for Christmas that she wanted, and he messaged me today saying that he's decided he wants to keep it. That's sibling love for you, isn't it? It's not easy folding pleats, you know. I'm having a bit of difficulty with this side, but we'll get there. Okay. So Sandra says, thanks. Unpicking is always a nightmare. Yeah. But we all have to do it at times. Eileen says, my Janome also likes Gutterman for zigzag. It tends to chew up other threads. Yeah, mine tends to snap them. I don't know why. Gutterman must just be really strong. Lorianne says, home now, jet lag and rocking motion from ship are horrible. Oh gosh, yes, but trip was worth it. Yeah, you looked like you had a fabulous time. Moran says, hi from rainy Israel. Wow, welcome. I love your content. I'm a nurse and I could relate to your talk in the car about work and kids and life in general. Yep, I wish I could sew along, but I feel a bit poorly. Oh, bless you. I'm sorry to hear that. Sloths and Orchid says, hi, Rachel. Hi, all. Welcome. Erica says, mostly. Jenny says, did you turn over the dress front collar or just zigzag it? Right. What I did, because I'm using sequin fabric, I have folded it over and stitched it from the front, so it just gives me, essentially just created a seam. So I've just used the seam, folded over the seam allowance and then stitched from the front, so it gives you that nice neat edge. And yeah, I just think that would look better. Normally I would run it through the overlocker, but I don't fancy doing that with sequins. I don't think my overlocker will be very happy. Andy says, well, it would be rude not to drink the gin. Absolutely. Jenny says, almost finished my Christmas shopping, thankfully. Wow. Vicky says, oh, I don't envy you using that fabric, but I know it's going to look stunning. I hope so. Noelia says, I'm glad you're safely back home, Lorianne, and that you had a lovely time. Yeah, Lorianne's a real globe trotter. Joanne says, I've never had trouble with any threads on my faff, but I don't buy cheap thread. That's the thing, isn't it? Lauren says, thank you. Lauren says, hugs, Noelia. Jenny says, thanks, Rachel. You're welcome. Right, let's get this second pleated collar. I don't know if you can hear Martin shouting at Piper out there because he's barking his head off because he just wants to go out. He's a creature of habit, but all dogs are, aren't they? It gets to certain times and they know what's happening. Right, so this is the left front collar piece. So I have created those pleats there and those are now basted in. So next step, we're still on step 3. Okay, so the unpleated section is going to form the collar facing. So obviously you should make sure that your notches are in the right place because this section here will end up folding over and forming the facing of the front of the dress. If that makes sense, it'll be something like that when it's done. Next up, match the two dress fronts at the centre back edge of the collar halves, pleated section against pleated section. Stitch the dress fronts together along the centre back of the collar and facing. Press this seam open. So what that means is, just grab my other front piece. Here we go. Right, so we have this front piece here, which is the right side, and this is the left side. And what we need to be doing is, where we've just pleated them, we need to be pinning and sewing right sides together, like so. Does that make sense? Matching up the pleated sections, and we're going to stitch a 1 centimetre seam allowance all the way across. So I'll get this pinned first. Now, obviously, if you're using something like a viscose jersey and you're not going to be lining it as I'm going to be lining this, then you could do these wrong sides together first and create a French seam. But because I'm going to be lining this, I'm just stitching this straight together, right sides together, because the raw seam is going to be encased, and most jerseys don't fray anyway. So, you know, if you don't have an overlocker to finish your seam when you've done this step, it's not going to be a big problem. So I have now pinned that piece together like so, and I'm going to stitch that across. So this will be the back neckline piece when it's stitched. I nearly did 5/8 of an inch then, but I remembered at the last minute it's 3/8 of an inch. Now I'm just using a straight stitch for this because it's not going to have any tension on it, this part, because it's just going to be rolled over. It's going to be the centre back of the collar when this is fully constructed. So it's not going to have any real tension on it. So there's no chance of it coming undone. So, but you could just run this through your overlocker if you wanted to, if you're a bit worried about that. But I'm not, and I like living dangerously. Okay, so that's stitched. Right, where are we up to? Right, so to Master says, very late to the party, but finally here. Thanks for the live, Rachel. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining. Sloths and Orchids says, my faff is very picky about the top thread. Yeah, that's the one for me. Gutterman only. The bottom thread can be anything really odd. Yeah, mine's exactly the same. I mean, when I'm doing zigzag, the bobbin thread it doesn't matter what it is, but the top thread has to be Gutterman. It's just bizarre. Right, that is stitched in place. Okay. Nadia de Batista says, hi, Rachel, happy sewing. Hi, welcome. Judy is asking what we're all sewing tonight. And Antoni says she's knitting a cardigan for her sister. Lovely. I've got loads of knitting projects still waiting to be completed. Elaine's here. Hello, everyone. Hi, Elaine. Right. So next step, we're on to... Oh, I've got to press that seam open, haven't I? So we'll do that next. I'm just going to put the main light on in here because I can't see what I'm doing with this pressing. That's better. Okay. Right, so I've pressed that seam open. So it should look something like so. And there's just, for me, just a couple of the bigger sequins that are just stuck in that seam that I'm just going to remove. But otherwise, the seam doesn't look too bad, actually. I don't think there's going to be a lot of bulk in this in my version. But obviously, something that was much more heavily sequined, you'd probably need to take quite a lot of them out. Okay. Right, that's that done. Okay, so next up, we're going to stitch the dress fronts to the back. And I know when I first did this, it was a little bit confusing. So we're going to stitch at the shoulders, right sides together. The dress back shoulder will appear to be longer than the dress front shoulder, but do not stretch the front to match. The dot on the dress front marks the actual end of the shoulder seam. This should match up with the end of the dress back shoulder. The dot also represents the pivot point between the shoulders and the neckline. Match the two at the point of the shoulders and sew them together as far as the dot on the dress front. Now, I'm sure that's probably a little bit confusing. Basically, this bit here is the front shoulder, okay, and this that we've just stitched together all formulates the neckline, if that makes sense. So when we have the back piece, which looks like a regular back bodice piece here that we put our elastic on, okay, what we need to do is, ignoring this bit that we've just, oh gosh, these are really long, that we've just stitched together, ignoring all that collar, this bit here is the bit of the shoulder seam that you need to be stitching to the back pattern piece. Does that make sense? If I just, this isn't going to work very well, is it? Let's see, where are we? Okay, so that's the right shoulder there, if that makes sense. And we need to attach that bit to the right shoulder of the back pattern piece. So if you look at your pattern piece for the front, because it mentions a dot, that's as far as you're going to be sewing to. You should have transferred that if you traced your pattern off. That dot is there. So this is the front pattern piece. This is the collar piece that goes around the back, and this is actually the shoulder bit here. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to pin it and then I'll show you what I mean. Let's just catch up where we're at. Sloths and Orchis says, hi Judy, I'm interfacing the bits of my Vicky Sews Hillary trousers. Lovely. Claire says, hi Rachel, I'm really enjoying your Vlogmas episodes. Thank you. I'm sewing the Cheyenne, no, I've not said that very well, have I? Shirt by Hey June Handmade. Nice. Joanne says, Judy, I'm working on a floor cushion for my grandson to lie on while watching TV. It is shaped like a lion and has a lion face. That sounds fabulous. Judy says she just finished today's tree for her tree of trees. I can't wait to see it, Judy. Nadia says, I'm sewing the closet core trousers in all the colours. Already made 6. 4 more to go. Which ones are you sewing, Nadia? Because I think they have a few different patterns. The ones I'm thinking of at the minute are the Sasha ones. They're the really fitted ones, aren't they? But I know that they've got a couple of other patterns as well. Joanne says, those are so pretty being watching your vlog. I think she's talking about Judy's trees. They are. They're lovely, aren't they? Sarah says, loving your tree of trees, Judy. Andy says, just casting on a new sweater. Another one, Andy. Judy says, thank you. Anne says, I'm having a bath and a glass of Prosecco. Lovely. Nadia says, ooh, the Sasha ones. Yeah, they are. They're lovely trousers, aren't they? I've not made those. Right, let me get this pinned and then I can show you how that will look. So I find the best way to do this is to lay your back pattern piece flat down. I'll just show you how I've done that there, like so. And then I'm going to feel like Shirley Bassey in this dress, aren't I? Okay. Oh, Piper's in trouble. I think he's after Pluto. He's always after Pluto. Okay, so I've pinned the shoulders in place. This is the back pattern piece as you're looking at it now. And if I turn it round, this is how it looks from the front. So this is the collar piece that should just be flopping loose at the minute. That shouldn't be attached to anything. If I just put this down and then I will try and show you how this should look. Okay. Right then. Okay, so if I can show you, hopefully you can see. This is looking from the front pattern piece is right sides together with the back pattern piece underneath. And we've got the shoulder here, shoulder there, and that's the back neck, which we stitched, and that should be loose at the minute. So all we're going to do is stitch across each shoulder seam at 3/8 of an inch and just to that point. So we don't want to be going all the way across at this point. Okay. Now, again, I'm just going to use a straight stitch for this because it's not going to be stretching. And I don't want it to stretch. So, and I've made this dress before, but again, if you want to just use a zigzag or a stretch stitch, you can do, but I'm just going to use a straight stitch for this. Okay. So Noelia says, I'm hand sewing a lining to an embroidered Christmas tablecloth. It took me 3 years to hand embroider it. Have just finished a Megan dress by Tilly in black stretch cotton sateen, so comfy. Oh yeah, I made one of those a few years ago actually. Hippie Mark says, Struth Noelia, well done. Mary says, or even Diana Ross. Yeah, absolutely. I can't sing like her though. So to Master says, Judy, I love your tree, such a cute stash buster. It is, it's fabulous. Judy's full of amazing ideas like this. Karen Shaw Jones says, I'm doing red work hand embroidery, but struggling to thread my needles. Judy and I were chatting actually about doing a a bit of a live between Christmas and New Year where we were going to get together and do either a chatty vlog or a chatty sewy vlog or something. So that could be quite fun. We've not picked a date yet, though. We need to do that, Judy, don't we? And I just need to check this pivot point because I haven't marked it on my fabric, which is not very good, is it? So it's there. And then the same on the other shoulder. So let me get my pattern piece back again. I think I've got dinner. Is that dinner for me?
Yes, master.
He knows who's boss. Thank you. Can I have a fork? Oh, thank you.
You see, this is what I have to put up with. She doesn't even give me chance. I walk in with a meal and a fork, and she immediately picks a fault and says, "Can I have a fork?" When it was there all along.
So what is this then? Fusion chicken?
Fusion chicken.
What?
Chicken coated with ginger, soy sauce, apricot jam, minced garlic, turmeric, a little bit of few chili flakes, and
nice. Loads of vegetables.
A bit of paprika and lots of veggies. Come on, you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Come on, Piper Puppy.
Delicious.
Come on.
Where are we at? Okay, Jane says, I'm sewing a Wilder gown dress, only done the top before. Yes, I've only made the top before as well. And I think I love the Wilder gown. I think the fabric choice is a difficult one to get that to look right. So I'm really interested to see how you get on with that, Jane. Noelia says, thanks, Hippie Mark. Judy says, I think we have a date. We'll text you. Okay, thank you. Mary says, will Martin be wearing any sequins this Christmas? Could you imagine? My sewing space says, you are lucky he cooks for you. I am very lucky. Yeah. Nadia de Batista says, can I borrow Martin for a few weeks, please? Need a man to cook for me once at least. Oh, bless you. Sloths and orchids, Martin, give her the fork already. Yes. Right, let me get this other shoulder seam sewn and then I'm going to have a bite of my food. Right, so shoulder seams are sewn. So it should look something like that and look a bit silly with basically the back seam, a big hole in it in the middle like that. That's fine. That's exactly how it should look. So at this point you need to, I assume, press your seams open of your shoulder seams. Actually, no, you don't need to do that yet. What we're going to do next is we are going to be snipping to that pivot point. So where we have, and you'll probably not see it very, it's there. Look, I don't know if you'll see it very well on my pattern piece here, but this is the front of the dress. Okay. And I have marked on, no, you really can't see it actually. Let me see if it's easier to see on the other side. Yeah. Okay. So here, this is, can you just see just there? Look, just there is like a little black mark. That's the point that you should have transferred from your front pattern piece. That one there, okay, because this is the shoulder. And what we're going to do is, this is the bit that's flopping around now that's attached. We're going to need to snip that corner to that point, because what that will then allow us to do is to so essentially we're going to be snipping this corner to that point, and then it will allow us to open out this back neckline altogether. Sorry, and attach it, pin it in place to the entire back neckline, which is that bit there. Does that make sense? So that's what we're going to be doing next, but I just need to grab some food. Martin enjoys cooking. I don't. I've often said if I lived on my own, I would probably live on beans on toast. Lorianne says, Martin, will you be doing the cooking on our trip to Croatia in September, please? I think it'll be Danny doing it. Well, but they can, they can fight amongst it themselves, Lorianne, can't they? Caro Mario 7 says, I'm working, trying to catch back up after the auditors messed up my day. Oh, bless you. Judy says, he's my personal post-run chef. Yes. This is a Slimming World meal, Judy, but I have a feeling it might just be a bit too spicy for you, actually. It's quite hot. Diane says, just getting in from work, your dinner looks delicious. It's really nice, thank you. Fantastic idea, Erica. He needs a sequin waistcoat. Wendy, my husband, cooks for me, but he's not as adventurous as Martin. Martin will try. He'll try anything. Yeah, he's always willing to try out new recipes and do his own thing and whatnot. He's a real big foodie. Noelia says that meal looks delicious. It really is. Thank you. Christine says it does look delicious. Don't let it go cold, Rachel. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Nadia says Wendy, mine thinks that by ordering takeout, he's cooking for me. Oh, bless. Antonia says, I'm with you, Nadia. It is not the same thing. Oh, she's here. Hello, Sean. She messaged me a few minutes ago, actually. Dad always enjoys company in the kitchen. Francine says, Bon appetit from Canada. Jane says, does Martin cook curries? I miss a good Indian. Oh, he's there he is. I do cook curries. Well, he does, but to be honest, I don't eat a lot of curry because I really have to be in the mood for it. It's not something that I generally want to eat very regularly. Yeah, it's one of those things I have to be in the mood for. But when I am in the mood for it, he's definitely cooking it. Anne says Martin needs to write a cookbook. He needs to get on with the Christmas cake. That's what he needs to be doing. Because it's 2.5 weeks till Christmas and we still don't have a Christmas cake. Right. This is the bit that's going to scare you then, because we're going to be cutting into this dress now. So the picture on the instructions, I don't think is very, what's the word? I don't think it really explains it very well. But obviously don't snip beyond the seam allowance. So you're only going in 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to lay this down and do this, obviously, when I can figure out which bit's which. Okay. Right. So make sure when you are snipping into these corners, if I just bring this up again. Right, okay, so we're looking at the front pattern piece here and the shoulder seam here. When you're snipping into this, you only want to be going into within the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And make sure you're only cutting through the front pattern piece and not the back pattern piece as well. Right, let me get my big scissors for this bit. That's one side done. And the other side. So when you've done that, it should look something like that. And that will then allow you to open out and stretch that out so that you can then pin the collar to the back neckline like so. So I'm going to get that pinned and then we can stitch all that in place. I've got a feeling this dress is going to grow when it's finished. It's really heavy. How are we doing? Christine's here. Hello, Christine. Bonjour, Rachel. Just got here. Bon appetit de Montreal. Bon appetit. Christine Allen says, nipping out for a minute, Rotary Club Santa coming down the road. Wow. Wendy says, lol, Nadia. Noelia says, hi, Sean. Churndash says, I had a ski accident a few months after we were married. As I recovered, we discovered he's far better cook and likes it. I've rarely cooked since. Perfect. Christine says, are you going to make a ginger house this year? Oh, I'd not thought of it, actually. I better get on with it, hadn't I? Erica says, these instructions are not the clearest. They're not, are they? They're not. And I certainly know when I made this dress the first time round, I was scratching my head a bit. I hope I'm explaining it okay to you. It's a bit awkward because you can't fully see what I'm doing. Diane says, when it's my husband's turn to cook, I have to find the recipes, get the ingredients and pans out. Then he gets all the credit from the rest of the family. Jenny says, hi, Christine. My husband is a Rotary Club Santa, but not till Christmas Eve. Jojo says, finally up in my room. Was just gearing up to get sewing and might remind me that I do actually need to eat today. Eek. That's not good, Jojo. Yes, eating's important. Totally slipped my mind, but I'm ready to get cracking now. Yes. Jane says, does Martin have a good mince pie recipe? He has a very good mincemeat recipe. And the one he made last year, it was just divine, honestly. It had maple syrup in, I think. And in the pastry he does for mince pies, he puts orange in and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. Highly calorific, but then that's Christmas, isn't it? Erica says, you're explaining it great. Oh, that's good. Jenny says, this is so helpful. Fantastic. Wendy says, explanations are great. Thank you. Great stuff. Rosie says, just popped in whilst waiting to go to daughter's carol concert. Oh, lovely. Hi, Rosie. Welcome. Lorianne says, my Indie Stitch subscription box just arrived. Must run to the package box. Woohoo. We're here. We're making the Sew Over It Roxy top this month. Lovely. Have you seen the new Sew Over It pattern today, Lorianne? I got the email earlier. If you're in the Sew Over It PDF club, you will have probably received an email today. And I really like it. I think I'm going to buy it this month. I haven't bought one for a few months, actually. They've not appealed to me, but this month's really does. So, yes. Anessa says, can you put up the recipe in the Peeps group, please? Yes, I'll grab it off him and I will do that. That's no problem. Jane says, sounds delicious. Yes, it really is. Sean says, those mince pies sound wonderful. Yes, they really do, Sean, but they're not keto friendly. Just warning you. Christine says, makes my day when the Rotary Santa is on his sleigh with Christmas music blasting out, comes around. Yeah, that's lovely. Leonie says, hi, Rachel, just tuned in now. Hope I haven't missed too much. Not at all, Leonie. We've just been chatting. We're doing some sewing. We're just working on attaching the collar at the minute. That's what we're doing. Lorianne says, yes, Rachel, what do you think? I really like it, Lorianne. I can see me making a few of these and wearing them lots. Hello. Husband's here.
Can I just say, try that, what I've cooked.
I have. It's very nice.
It's absolutely out of this world. Recommend that one, ladies.
They'll be wanting the recipe next. Yeah. Okay. Cara Mary 07 says, love the new Soviet PDF. Going to buy it a bit. Yes, I'm definitely getting it as well. Rosie says, hope you're feeling better today after yesterday's dress mishap. It's there in the naughty corner, Rosie. Happens to us all. Totally does. But you know, when Sian's made this about 4 times and hers come out perfect. And yes, it's from a construction perspective, it's perfect-ish. Apart from the big hole where I made the eyelet. Don't even go there. Lorianne says, I'm debating it's a fabric buster. Noelia says, I'm a member of the VIP club, but have not seen the pattern yet. Thanks for the heads up. Just check your junk emails, Noelia. Leonie says, great, I'll grab a cuppa. Sorted. Okay, so I have now pinned the collar to the back neckline. So it should look something like that. You've got your shoulder seams here that should be already stitched. You've cut into the front pattern piece to the pivot point. Stretch. When I say stretch it out, I don't mean stretch it, but opened it out, because that's what that cut allows you to do. And then you will be able to attach it to that back collar piece. And then what we're going to do then is stitch all the way along, I believe. Just let me check the instructions again. So yeah, with right sides together, sew the dress front collar to the back neckline. That's what I've just shown you where I've pinned. This gets fiddly around either end of the shoulders, and that's just because you might have a little bit of puckering there if you're not careful. So you just need to make sure when you get to that pivot point that you smooth out your fabric before you carry on stitching. Hence the snips to allow the fabric more flexibility. Your stitching should connect up with the shoulder seam stitches at the dots. So let's get that bit done. But before that, I'm just going to grab some more food. Because, as Jojo said, food is important. I think this is keto friendly, Sian. Wendy says, I forgot about the new Soviet pattern today. I had till it came through as well. My thought exactly on the Soviet pattern. Yeah, I can see it being your style as well, Andy, very much so. Right, I'm going to just sew from the pivot point of the shoulder seam. And I sew this with the collar facing up, so that where the collar meets at the back, you can make sure that you've got that seam flat, if that makes sense. So if I just show you here, I don't know if you can see that very well. Yeah, so I'm working from the back is underneath, if that makes sense, and this is the collar piece that we stitched at the start. I hope you could see that, because I couldn't see that you could see that. So now again, as I say, I am not doing this on any kind of stretch stitch. I am just sewing the collar in with just a normal straight stitch. Oh, that's Piper wanting to come in. Okay, where are we up to? Sian says, ooh, yum. It's very yum. A bit spicy, but it's nice. Christine says, yes, it's a nice one. I think I'll go for it. Still haven't chosen my VIP freebie for this year. Oh, I can't remember what I got. Oh, I got the shirt. Is it the Josie shirt? I've not made that yet, though. Sian says, I'm eating wings. Nice. Sharon says, hi, Rachel. Visited Walton's due to you. Great to be able to join you tonight. Welcome, Sharon. What did you think to Walton's? I've not been for a while. I need a... Oh, you see, I've got the unpicking to do now. I need a trip, because I've I've got a little bit of just a little bit of puckering at that seam. So I've just got a couple of stitches just to unpick, but it should look something like that. So it's all now stitched together, if that makes sense. So this is what will happen is this will end up, we're doing a burrito with this, but it will end up where the collar is basically inside like that, and comes and then sort of floats all the way around to the front and gives you that nice drape, a bit like a cowl effect. Ashley's here. Hi from Nashville. Hi, Ashley. Rosie says, got a flag, got to go sing behind a mask. Oh, exciting. Plus, I am starving. All this talk about food is making me hungry. Jojo says, oh, just checked out the sew over at Marnie. I really like it, but I do think I've got one or two quite similar. Yeah, I like the pocket. Yeah, that's what attracted me, the pocket construction. It looks similar to the, now I can't remember. I think it might be the named Esme. I made that previously, I think, but that comes out really big. Looks similar to the Carnaby dress and I Am Artemis jacket. Okay. Denby says what says yes, I'd puckering along that seam too, came out. Out came the quick unpick again, lol. Well, to be honest, I think it's that. I think this fabric is very forgiving, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to bother unpicking it because I've just got, if I show you, I don't know if you can hear Martin shouting at Piper. So if you can just see there, look, can you see I've just got tiny little bit of caught the fabric in the stitching, and the same at that side. Ooh, just there. I don't know if you can see it. It's very, very minor. But when I look at it from this side, you just cannot see it at all. So I think I'm going to just leave it rather than risking cutting through my fabric with the unpicker. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. If it was Shan, she'd be unpicking it because she's a perfectionist and I'm really not. I'm really not. No, what does that mean? Does that mean no, don't unpick it, or no, you're not a perfectionist? Or no to unpick it? Oh gosh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Brain fog again, menopausal brain fog. Jojo says she's chuckling at Martin in the background. Yeah, it's because Martin's eating his tea. Piper wants to go for a walk. Sally's here. Oh, hi, Rachel and everyone. I'm just emerged from the bath. Oh, what I would give to have a bath. So glad I saw this pop up. Hi, Sally. Welcome. Shan says she would not unpick it. I feel all virtuous now. Right. So now we're on to step 5, which is sewing the collar facing. So basically this is where we have to do the burrito, because we want to get this edge of the collar attached inside, but so that all the seams are enclosed, if that makes sense. So we have to burrito this. I'm sure most of you know what the burrito method is, but it's essentially where you tend to use it on yokes on shirts, so that you've got 2 yokes and you can encase all the raw seams of the shoulder and the yoke inside, so without having to hand stitch things down. Jenny says, who is Shan, please? She's directly above you, Jenny. Kittenish behaviour. Andy says, there's nothing left in Walton's. I bought it all last weekend. Why does that not surprise me? I know. I was hoping to meet up with Andy last weekend because she was up here in the north. And I couldn't meet up because I was working on the Friday, and then Saturday we were in Sheffield. Was it raining in Goldthorpe, Andy? It must have been. It was raining in Sheffield. Erica says, is tea like American dinner? Do you all eat late? Do you all eat again later? Okay, so in the north of England, where I am, I'm from a county called Yorkshire, and We call what you guys would probably call dinner tea, if that makes sense. So we tend to eat it between sort of 5 and 7, and that's our evening meal. But we call it tea. Generally, people that live in the south of England call it dinner. And no, we wouldn't eat again later. Well, I'm saying that unless I'm being a little bit piggy and think I'll have toast or something, but it would just be a snack. But this generally is our main dinner. But yes, we call it tea because of the area that I come from. Sian is saying, I am Sian. Jenny's saying, oh, Knish behaviour high. Hello. Denby Sews What says, I'd caught some of the other fabric in the seam, so I had to unpick, otherwise I'd have left it too, just on the burrito. Bloody hell. Oh dear. Was it that good? I'm worrying a bit about this one actually, because all these seams, I've got to roll them all up. So this is going to be interesting, but we'll see. What I think I might do actually is I might turn you around and put this on my cutting table so that you can see what I'm doing. Tea is our evening meal. We may have a cup and a biscuit later, but not a meal. Yeah. Ross Atkins says, hello from New Jersey, enjoying your vlogs. Happy holidays. I think some of the problem, I've just got just gin, I think the problem with eating in the evening is this is a real bad habit that you tend to get into when you've had children. I don't know about anybody else, but lots of my friends that had children when I had children younger, you can't eat food when your children become toddlers because they want it. So you tend to not bother, or you'll eat something and then they eat half of it as well as their own, and then as soon as they're out of the way, you raid the cupboards, and it becomes a bad habit. And even though my kids are grown up, it's still that habit in an evening that you have a substantial evening meal like we're having now, and 2 hours later it's like, I can't make it till breakfast without no more food. I'm going to have to eat something else. Or is it just me that does that? But I'm trying not to, because that's why I end up gaining weight. Right. I'm going to create some room on the cutting table. Turn you around. And we'll hopefully do this together so we don't have a bloody hell moment. I'll probably get demonetized for that now, for swearing. But hey ho, it's Christmas. Okay. So. Right, so what the instructions say are, lay the dress out flat with the wrong sides together. The fronts spread apart to minimise layers of fabric, and the right side of the back on top. Okay, so wrong sides together. Okay. Okay, so this is now wrong sides together. I've got a front piece there and the other front piece is there. I've tried to spread them out as it has suggested. Then it says, starting at the bottom hem, roll the dress both fronts and back tightly up to the collar. So my collar is there at the top. I hope you can see this, and I hope this is making sense. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to ignore what it's just said there about spreading this out, because I actually need these to be together so that I can burrito them up. Because especially with this being a maxi, there is a lot of dress here to roll up. So I'm just going to bring that back down. Okay. So I have the front, no, this is the back. and the front pieces. And then basically we're going to roll these up right up to the collar at the top. I'm just trying to keep everything as neat as possible so that it ends up really tight, because we're going to have to sew this when we get to the top. And I'm using sequins as well, which I do like to make things difficult for myself, don't I? I keep thinking it'll be worth it when it's done, because this dress will fit me. So you're creating a big sausage, really. And then what we're doing is, okay, let me think now. Yeah. So once we've rolled it up, we're going to pull the collar facing around the sausage until its raw edges meet the raw edges of the back neckline seam, with the entirely rolled up dress now inside the facing. Pin the facing so that its centre seam matches the centre back, and pin all along the back neckline between the shoulder dots or the ends of your shoulder seams. So can you see this here? Basically, I've got the raw edge of the back collar there, okay, and then now it's rolled up. This is the other raw edge here, so I need to match this centre seam with that centre seam there, like so. And then this collar, the rest of this raw edge of this collar, I need to pin all the way along to the end of the shoulder seam on both sides. So I'm going to sit back down and do this, because otherwise I'm going to end up in a bit of a tiz, aren't I? And it's probably all going to unravel. So that's what we need to be doing. Okay, so where are we up to? I've missed loads of comments. Somebody's going for a shower. Have fun. Oh, showers and baths. You're all teasing me. Denby So what says, I'm from the southeast in the UK, but we always have our lunch dinner around midday, just because we do an 16-hour fasting. Then we have something like around 5-6 p.m. Alice says hello from New York. Just hello, Alice. Martin says he will make the odd appearance. I think he's just taken Piper out, actually, or he's just about to take Piper out. Sarah says, my cat is being very unhelpful. She keeps sitting on my lap as I'm trying to sew. Super cute, but very annoying. Hello. Are you going walking?
We're going walkies, but do we know where the treat bag is with the nappy sacks, etc.?
Is it on top of the fridge?
No.
Oh.
You had it last. You took him for a walk.
Oh. It will be in my coat pocket. You know, the big blue one, the big blue puffy thing. It'll be in there.
Right. All right. Shall we have our collar on, Pipes? We have a green collar. Come in.
Excellent.
Come on. Good boy. Sorry.
Martin says, what time is it in the Big Apple, Alice? Alice says it's 2:25 p.m. Sean says, chicken wings were delicious but messy. Yeah. Vanessa says, Alice, we are the same time zone. Denby says, well, it's one hell of a brain twister and you roll a tighter sausage than me, Rachel. I'm glad Martin's not heard that, because that would make him snigger. Sloths and Orcus says, hey, Martin, a sewing related question for you. How much does Rachel's fabric stash bother you? I got lots of fabric to her and my boyfriend gets all wound up about it. Is it such a big deal for you guys? I'll ask him that when he gets back and he can answer. Helen says, what type of faff machine have you got and would you recommend? My machine is a Faff Creative 4.5. So it is essentially a sewing machine and embroidery machine as well. So it has a separate embroidery unit, which I do have, and I have dabbled with it, but I'm by no means proficient in machine embroidery at all. I have had this machine now coming up to 4 years, I would think. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a real workhorse. Prior to this, I had a Janome, and that's a real workhorse as well. But the thing that used to bring me out in a cold sweat was buttonholes. Because the Janome, even though it was an automatic buttonholer, it just used to chew fabric up, and it just wasn't very good at them. And I think that's one of the problems, isn't it? That domestic machines you have to pay a fair bit of money to get things like that to be very good. So yeah, this is the only faff machine I've ever owned. Would I buy it again? Absolutely. It's got everything and more that I could ever use on it. Judy keeps thinking that I'm going to probably want her Bernina at some point, because she said she's going to upgrade her Bernina at some point. But I don't know, because the reason I say that is Judy's machine is amazing. She has the same machine as Sian's mum, Jane, and it is amazing. However, it's also very picky in the fact that Judy cleans it every time, and I think Judy's watching, but yeah, so she'll probably tell you, but she cleans her machine every time she uses it, and if it gets the slightest little fleck of lint in there, it won't play, and that would drive me bonkers, if I'm honest. I'm really quite messy, and I don't clean my machine every time. I clean it when I can be bothered, and I know that's not very good. That's the reality, and I don't have a lot of patience. Martin would tell you that. So if I had a machine that essentially I needed to clean every single time I used it, and if there was the slightest little bit of fluff in the bobbin case part, then it wouldn't work. It'd go out the window, I'm afraid. So it wasn't a cheap machine. It certainly wasn't as expensive as Judy's Bernina, put it that way, but it was an expensive machine. But as I say, I've had it 4 years. I've not needed to have it serviced yet. It never lets me down. Well, I'm saying it never lets me down. It has an automatic needle threader that is being a little bit temperamental at the minute, but I've not had it serviced. So I think that, to say I've had it 4 years and I use it nearly every single day, it's great. Right. Okay, so I have this sausage thing now all pinned, and that is not going to sort of give you any idea of what on earth I've done there at all. But essentially, I have pinned the back neckline to the back collar, and then I've pinned all the way along that raw seam right to the edge of the shoulders. It looks a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? So I am now going to stitch that. I'm just going to check the instructions again that is what I needed to do, and then I'm going to stitch it. But this is why the sausage needs to be really tight, because fortunately it is a jersey fabric, so you've got some flexibility there with your movement, but it does need to be really tight, because again, that's the picture you get, and it looks like that. So to be fair, I don't know how they could have done a better picture of what this looks like, but that's essentially what we're doing. Anna says, enjoy your walk with Piper, Martin. Yeah, he will. I think it stopped raining at the minute, so I'm sure he will. Mad one for KT says, Rachel, I love the fabric you are working with. Thank you. Jane says, my Janome is not good for buttonholes, and I had to buy a plate to go underneath. Yeah, it wasn't the best with mine. And this sews buttonholes like a dream. Very occasionally it has a bit of a fit, but most of the time it's quite good. Life's Banquet says, I would love to see YouTube sewists do in-depth reviews of their sewing machines. Yeah, I've always said I would do one of mine, but to be honest, I think it's because I don't have an in-depth knowledge of it myself, to be fair, because these machines, they have loads of things on them, don't they? And half of it we never use or very rarely use. So I think for me to do a review on it, I would want to have that full in-depth knowledge to be able to do it justice and to do the viewers justice as well, because I think, you know, it's no good doing a review of a machine if you don't really know much about it yourself. So I could certainly do a review of, you know, what particularly the sewing side of it, as in for garment sewing, because, you know, I use it for that all the time. Adele says, I had a booster yesterday and just fell asleep, now completely forgetting about the live. Sorry, your fabric is still of it. Adele, please don't apologize. You know, I know how much it takes out of people. Caro Mary 07, I have a faff and love it too. Andy says, agree with you on the picky banana. Andy says, I might have a new one coming. Oh, wow. What are you getting, Andy? Sally says, I have a Janome Gem Platinum and it does fab buttonholes amazingly. Wow, well done. That's brilliant. Yes, I thought that's what you'd said, Andy. Right, chicken. I'm going to get this seam sewn. This is quite awkward to sew because of all the bulk you've got. So just take it steady is what I would advise. This is the bit where I worry that you get, that was me just sewing over a pin. You see, if that had been Judy's machine sewing over a pin, it would have had a meltdown by now. And she'd have been doing all sorts with it to try and get it to behave. This just carries on, fortunately for me. Oh, she says, famous last words, I've just broken a needle. Oh dear. Right, needle time. That's me clearly getting a little bit cocky. So let's see if my automatic needle threader will thread automatically. Oh, it has done. Very good. I'm impressed. Okay, where am I up to? Right. Let's try not to sew over a needle this time. Right, I think I've got through it all. I think. So essentially now, that's one shoulder seam all the way along to the other shoulder seam. which is there, look. So I should be able to now just unroll this, and like magic, it should all just work. Let's keep everything crossed that this has. Before I do that, let me just check. Right, so the next bit, it says stitch the facing in place by sewing over the existing back neckline seam, which we've just done. You may find it easiest to use your zipper foot as the bulk of the dress sausage can get in the way. I've done it now and it coped okay, apart from breaking a needle. You should stitch only along the back neckline seam, not onto the shoulder seams. Oh. This is where I do silly things like this. I've stitched onto the shoulder seam, so I'm going to have to unpick now, but at least I've only done a straight stitch. So you're only sewing as far as the pivot point, you know, where we snipped in, and I've just gone straight across, but it's not much to unstitch, so I'll just do that. The dress sausage is now held within the tube of the collar and the collar facing. Gently and slowly pull on one end until the entire dress is freed from the tube. So we are about at that point, but unpicker time. It's not much to do, to be fair. So yeah, essentially what I've done is I should have, if I can just show you. So where the little notch is there, I've carried on sewing to the end of the shoulder, which is there, and I just need to unpick this bit on both sides. So needle broken, yes. Andy says, Alex and I have been chatting. Oh gosh, I dread to think. Dawn says, oh my God, it worked. Collar on Mayfair sorted. Fantastic. Andy says an industrial dookie. Awesome. So to Master says, oh, I've broken so many needles and I still get a fright. It's like a jump scare in a movie for me. Yeah, sometimes it's for me. Mad 14KT says, I love when you sew in your videos. It's so encouraging. Not many do so in theirs anymore, Rachel. Oh, so to Master says, the burrito method scares me. Did it the first time with the Stevie knickers and I was so nervous. Oh, bless you. Erica says, I did that too, right onto the shoulder seams. Yeah. And Sian says, oh, nice, Andrea. Right, let me just unpick this. It's because, oh gosh, this is gonna, let me get this light because I can't see. It's because I've always been the same. I just rush ahead and don't look at what I'm doing. I don't sort of, you know, I read a bit of the instructions and then think, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. And then Karen, what's Martin doing? He's walking the dog and he's still on here. Sloths and orchids, Rachel Stash is no issue at all. Sewing is a hobby and so is buying. Oh, bless him. Isn't he just the best? He just laughs, to be honest. He just laughs. Every time there's a parcel that comes for me, he'll go, oh, Fabric Fairy's been again. Sean says, fabric stashing and sewing are totally separate and awesome hobbies. They are. Sharon says, we all love Martin. We do. We all love Martin. He is pretty awesome. He looks after me, really looks after me. I'm very lucky. We've been together. I was thinking about this earlier. In April, we will have been together 27 years. That is just mad. Absolutely mad. Where are we up to? Sally says, good one, Martin. Anna says, not forgetting purchasing pattern, lots of hobbies. Absolutely. Martin says, that's correct, Sean. Well, Rachel tells me it is. Yes, Anna, I am waiting still for my something delightful order that was totally Sean's fault because she posted it in the Pleats group that they had a Black Friday sale. So, of course, I had to partake. Erica says, early congrats on 27 years. I know. I've actually been with him longer than I've been alive. No, that's not right, is it? Is it? Yeah, it is right, isn't it? Sloths and Orchid says, Martin, you're exemplary and should write a book about it. I would buy it for my boyfriend. Katie says, hi, Rachel. I'm a Yorkshire lass living in Spain. Oh, wow. Love your blogs, sewing and running. I was also a nurse. Thank you for all you do. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Sean says, mine hasn't arrived yet either. Ah, so you bought some too. And Sean says, I want my new patterns. Is that why you're trying to use all the fabric from your cubby holes to create space to put said patterns? Anna says there are so many delicious patterns out there. There really are. Done. There are so many delicious duplicate patterns as well, as we were discussing last week with my Vogue Liberty blouse. Jane says, I wish there was a way of disguising the fabric packages now my husband is working from home. And Sean says, exactly. Right, am I at that pivot point yet? Not quite. I am so glad I didn't sew this with a stretch stitch. Okay. Nearly there on this side. That's it. Okay. So I just need to back tack that little bit so it doesn't come undone. Sean says, although I've run out of wearable muslin fodder, I need to have a look at the textile centre. Do you know, I haven't seen much sort of worth purchasing from the textile centre for ages. But I have to admit, I've not looked recently. Okay, where are we at? Jenny says, more than half your life, perhaps. Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you, Jenny. Noelia says, Rachel, do you mean you have been with Martin longer than you have been an adult? You've been alive for longer, I imagine. I have. Yeah, I've been with my husband for 27 years too. It makes me feel old. Oh, do you know, it feels really quick with me and Martin. Well, I don't know how he feels about that. He might think it feels like a lifetime, but to me, it feels very quick. It doesn't seem that long ago since we were just going out together. Erica says, Kitnish behaviour, same boat. All my fabric is too pretty to risk with test fit right now. I've still got loads of wearable muslin fodder, to be fair. A lot of it is online purchases that I thought was probably something else and turned out not to be quite as nice as what I was anticipating. I need to eat. Ashley says, have any of y'all tried the Lutterlows, the Golden Rule? I found a 1997 version at an estate sale last weekend for £2. I have a Lutterlow pattern. It was actually for my daughter. It was like a 1950s sort of little play suit that she loved. But I was a very new sewer when she made me buy it off Etsy, and it came literally like this. And then you obviously have to do all the measurements and draw your own pattern from it, don't you? And I've never got around to actually having a look at it. Hey Meadow says, good morning, 6:15 here, and just woke up, so pleased I can join you at least while having a coffee. Good morning, Hey Meadow. Where are you? Sean says, agreed. Yes, need to check rainbow fabrics too. Definitely. Or maybe not, because you'll soon be filling those cubby holes back up. Ashley Swartout says, also just noticed you need more likes. 169 watching, but only 79 likes. Oh, thank you. Anna says, I know what you mean about the time being too quick. Cannot believe TE will be 17 on December the 20th. Where the heck does the time go? I honestly don't know, Anna. I don't know. Right. So I've unpicked the collar from the shoulder bits, and so it's now only stitched to the pivot points, if that makes sense. So fingers crossed, we should be able to unroll the sausage and it should all just work. I really hope so. Jane says, I have to stop watching Andrea's live as I ended up making another purchase on Sunday. She has such fast shipping to the US too. She has gorgeous fabrics, doesn't she? I know. I like watching. I mean, it's just lovely to watch, isn't it? And just chat with people. But yeah, her fabrics are just really nice. Hey Meadow says, Adelaide, South Australia, sunny day expected here. Yes, I can imagine. You're in summer now, aren't you? Fiona says, hi there, everyone. I'm making a skirt from McCall 6696, ready for Christmas. Has anyone been to Woodcraft Fabrics in London? Fields, you can buy cheap fabric there. No, I've not heard of that one. Haha, it's worked. I'll show you in a second. Gina Burgess says another one from Adelaide too. Jane says, oh, Rachel, it's worked. Would not have managed that without watching you. Oh, brilliant, Jane. I'm so pleased. Davina says, I bought the Little O system, made one pattern from it. It didn't fit. I've been married 44 years, 5 children. My hubby never moans when fabric parcels arrive. Jojo says, out of interest, I asked Mike what he thinks about the size of my stash. Never occurred to me that he might have an opinion on it. Is that bad, lol? No, it's your stash, Jojo. Nobody else's opinion matters. Oh gosh, Martin said, I need to do BMS when I get Piper home. Thirsty work, this dog walking. Right, okay, so this is the back, and that is now the collar at the back, obviously, and that's the back neckline. And then inside, you should have something that looks like that. So it should be all encased, and then you've got your shoulder seams free, unless you stitch them up like I did and then had to unpick them. Noelia says, I know what you mean about failed online purchases. I once bought what I thought was a navy and red fabric, which turned out to be black and neon orange. Oh gosh, it was my fault as it was correctly described. Yeah, sometimes you can get a bit trigger happy, especially when you've had a bit too much gin. Right, so next bit, sew the center front seam, which is step 6. That's what we're up to. So match the dress fronts along the center front, including the short end of the facing. Start your stitching on the pointy ends of the collar facing. Stitch up as far as the large dot and then pivot, going on to stitch all the way down the center front to the hem. Snip into the seam allowance to the point where you pivoted. Press the center front seam open. Okay, so I'm going to turn you around again. I'm going to put this back on my cutting table. Okay. So what we need to do now is just leaving the back out of the way for the time being. You want to lay your 2 front pattern pieces on top of each other, right sides together, and we're going to just match that center front seam and pin it in place. So hopefully, if I just bring it around, I don't know if you can see that very well. So we've got this bit here is that pivot point it's that pointy bit of the end of the front facing, and then this bit is the center front seam. So I'm going to match these up, starting at where we will be pivoting in that little V there. I'm going to pin that bit in place, and then I'm going to just pin all the way down the center front. Okay, so I'll bring that across and show you. Just turn you around. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Okay. Hang on a second, because I've not got that in place very well. Right, so this is the front facing. You see that pointy bit there? So I've matched up that bit, and then this is the front center seam. So what we're going to do is we are going to start at the pivot point here of where the V of the front facing is, and we're going to stitch all the way down the front center seam at 3/8 of an inch, and then back to that pivot point, and then stitch right across this to the pointy bit of this front facing. And then what we will need to do when we've done that is we snip into where we've pivoted, if that makes sense. And then we'll press open the front seam. So let's do that now. Okay, so where are we up to? Eileen says, your dress is very reminiscent of the dress worn by Marilyn Monroe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Do you know, I've never watched that film. That's not very good, is it? Hey Meadow says, hi Gina. Yes, summertime here on holidays as a Friday. And so many projects on the sewing table, including some summer dresses. Oh, I just love sewing summer dresses. I really do. It's my absolute favourite. Sloss and Orchid says, flat battery makes. That's so lovely. Olivia Mina says, now I got you on the big screen. Oh gosh, my face on the big screen. Sloss and Orchid says, why can't I tag anyone like a normal person? Do you know, I have that issue when I'm watching Sian's live hangout and I see people tagging other people and I can't figure out how to do it. Somebody's going to have to show me. Ruth says, loving your videos. That dress looked amazing on your last video, even if you felt like it didn't fit. It really didn't fit. I mean, I don't know what's happened. I mean, it does. And when I say it fits, it's just, I can't fasten it up. That's the problem. It will not go up any higher. And it gets to basically the zip gets to here, just where your ribs are under your breasts if you're female. It gets to there, and then it will not do up that last little bit, and it is really tight in this area here. And the funny thing is, I do have the full coverage of of my chest and everything. So and the sleeves fit fine. It feels fine across the back. It's a bit tight around the waist, but I've put 4 inches on in my waist this year, which is ridiculous. And it will come off again. But it's there in the corner, as you can see, and it will fit me. I just need to train a little bit more. Sian says, managed to put £340 worth of fabric in my basket. Where from? The textile centre. Or are we talking about something else while I was pinning that? Trouble is, I really like them all. Must resist pressing buy. Which shop, Sian? Noelia says. Jojo says, at Sloss and Orchids, thank you. He's definitely a keeper. Oh, yeah. Mike's fabulous, Joe. Sian says, I can't work out tagging either. I'm glad it's not just me. Olivia says, I struggle with tagging people too. Sian says, the textile centre, Noelia. Oh, you're sending me over there to have a look now, aren't you? Hey Meadow says, check out the new Tessuti Astrid dress come summertime. I love the detail of the knife, please. That reminds me, has anybody seen the new paper cut patterns release? I think it's three dresses, 3 patterns, summer patterns, obviously, because I think they're New Zealand, aren't they? I've bought 2 of them, 20% off at the minute. Sloth and Orchid says, Sian, did you find the silks? Davina Eaton says, I think it depends what device you're on. I can't tag or like when I'm on my phone. I can on my laptop. Oh, okay. Noelia says, oh, nice, or maybe not so much for your bank account. Sian says, I saw the sloths and orchids. Sally says, knowing you, Rachel, you'll be in that dress in no time. Yeah, I hope so. Katie says, Brexit is a nightmare. Trying to get fabric from my favourite shops in the UK sent to Spain has now become a complete no-go area. That's really sad. I have a lot less hair and my fabric stash is so embarrassing small. I've got loads. Come over here, Katie, and have a rummage. Sloths and orchids. I may or may not have a parcel from there on the way. Sean says, no, it's all mine, Rachel. Elaine says, that will be lovely. You will wear it on Christmas Day. Elaine from Canada used to live in Leicester. Oh, hi, Elaine. Oh yeah. Canada is no offense to Leicester because my daughter lives there, but there really is no comparison. No comparison. Right. Oh, no, hang on. Ugh. I'm stitching a straight stitch and I don't want a straight stitch on this seam. I'm going to do a zigzag. So on my seams, if I'm sewing a with sort of a seam allowance and I'm using a zigzag, I will always go to quite a narrow zigzag just because I don't want it to eat into that seam allowance, if that makes sense. That probably sounds ridiculous, but that's how my brain works. Right, let's just try that again. Okay. And I have just realised that I don't have Gutterman thread in my top thread, so I don't know if I'll get all the way down to the bottom of this centre seam without this thread snapping, but we shall see. We'll see how we get on. Anessa says, I wonder what she would do if one of us showed up to rummage in her stash. Do you know what? There is that much. I probably wouldn't even know if you took something. Well, I wouldn't know. The way it is at the minute, I wouldn't have a clue until I came to think, that fabric, I'm going to go try and find it. And I'd think, where is it? Where's it gone? But I wouldn't know that you'd taken it at the minute. Sian says, I want to stay and chat, but need to edit the waffle. Off you go, Sian. It's fine. Don't worry. Vlogmas is, yeah, go. It's fine. Sian says, lols at Anessa Harris. Christine says, or all of us. Yes. I mean, there's fabrics that I know I've got and I can't find them because I don't know where they are. It all needs really sorting out. We're doing well. This fabric seems to like this. This thread seems to like this fabric. It's quite happy. This is a really long dress. Really long dress. I don't even know what time we're on. 8 o'clock. We've been going 2 hours. And I've not got a dress finished yet. What's wrong with me? Sloss and Orchids, Rachel, Eileen is spot on, actually. Watch the opening sequence to The Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and you'll see. I will. I'll have a look at it later. Olivia says, I just got the text. I have a new grandson. Oh, congratulations, Olivia. That's amazing news. How lovely. Christmas baby. Wendy says, bye, Sian. Lorianne says, congratulations, Olivia. Let the sewing begin. Jojo says, every time my mum comes over to visit, she rummages my stash and patterns like I'm a shop. Good job. I love her. Christine says, congratulations, Olivia. Katie says, congratulations to Olivia. How exciting. Noelia says, congratulations. Jane says, do you use Trello for fabric organization? I'm thinking of trying it. I've heard of it. I haven't given it a lot of, I haven't looked at it a lot, to be fair, at the minute. Hang on, because I've just had an email pop up. Let me just close that box. Go away. Hey Meadow says, congratulations, Olivia. Sheila Sutar, hi Rachel, I've been with you since 6 p.m. Only just found out how to comment. Oh, well, you found us, Sheila, and welcome. I'm sewing the patina blouse. Hard for me. I don't think I know that. I've heard of that pattern, but I can't visualize it. Martin and Piper are back. They've just been out for a walk. Ashley says, congratulations. Noelia says, bye, Sian. Wendy says, congratulations, Olivia. There we go. Spoke too soon. threads come out, as I say, this is what it does. It does not like it when I'm sewing zigzag with cheaper thread. Silly machine. Oh, but at least the needle thread is working, so that makes life a little bit easier. Okay. Right, let's carry on. Where are we? Oh, we've done well. We're nearly at the bottom, so. Oh, that's Piper wanting to come and say hello. Where are we? Ashley says, I use Trello for pattern organization. Love it. Just starting to use it for fabric too. I will check it out. Floss and Orchid says, congratulations, Olivia. One more excuse to make some cute baby outfits. Yes. Olivia says, thank you so much. I'm over the moon in love with him. I'm sure you are. He's in California and I'm in Iowa. Thank God for FaceTime. Yes, thank God for FaceTime. Absolutely. Anessa says, Rachel, you should invite Sian to organize the fabric. She'd love it. And we get vlogception. Laugh my yes, LMAO. Well, that's interesting you should say that, because I hope Sian doesn't mind me mentioning this, but we have been chatting and I'm planning, because well, most of you might know that I'm finishing my job in January, and we are I'm taking a little bit of time off before. I'm doing some locum, but I am taking some time off before I do anything else, really. And I mentioned to Sian about me going down to the island for a few days, and so we were chatting about that. We've not sort of got any dates decided yet or anything, but I'm going to go down for a little trip for a few days away. I'm going to take my sewing machine with me, and we're going to meet up. I'll probably stay in a B&B or something close by, but we're going to meet up and maybe have a bit of a sewing day. So who knows? We might do a bit of a collaborative vlog together or something. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Even maybe a live. And then she's already said, though, she won't leave me alone in a sewing room. Right. I'm just sorting this little pivot point thing out. I just wanted to go over it a couple of times just to make sure it's really secure. Judy says, Anessa, I tried. Olivia says, Sian could totally organise your stash. She totally could, yeah. Noelia said, the secret life of a seamstress channel has just done a video on organising fabrics with Trello. Katie says, I love Piper. I have a border collie and a rough collie, constantly wanting attention. Love them to bits. My life is so much better with canines in it. Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? Sloss and Orchid says, Trello all the way. Super useful to search your pattern library to not buy the same pattern twice as well. I've done that a couple of times. Olivia says, good for you. Enjoy your time. Wendy says, doggy babies are the best. Yes. Especially when human babies leave home. Right, so I have stitched along there, up there, all the way down, and now what I'm going to do is just snip into that up to, but not through that stitching. And I'm going to use my big scissors. I know it's probably scary, but these cut right to the point where most of my other scissors don't. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to open out that front seam and press it open. So I'm just going to take this off to the ironing board and do that. Have you brought me coffee?
Brought you coffee.
Thank you. I haven't drunk my juice yet, or my gin,
or your tea.
No, I'm eating it. I'm working my way through it. It's very, very nice. Did you enjoy your walk?
Yes, I did enjoy my walk. I slaved over that tea, and it's just there. You don't appreciate me.
So yes, Sloths and Orchids was asking about my stash and what you think about me buying fabric and having it all in the house.
Well, it's just one of them things. It's a hobby, isn't it? So what's it matter? We all have our hobbies. I've got mine. I like my books and my models.
You do? You don't have as many as I have fabric though, which is
Well,
probably,
no.
probably a good thing.
It is possibly. But while I'm here and you've done that, shall we do Bemis? Because I'm gagging.
Can you just give me a second while I finish? Finish pressing this seam open?
Yeah, that's fine.
You can. I was going to say you can put it on the table.
I can. I have. Piper, what are you eating?
I hope it's not my tea.
No, he's picking bits of fabric up off the floor and bits of cotton. We do tend to find him walking around the house with bits of cotton hanging out of his mouth.
I know. Sometimes pins as well, which is a bit worrying. He seems to have a thing for pins, doesn't he? Right, Martin wants to do Bemis, so let's turn you around and we can do Bemis.
I'm Bemising.
Okay, so what day are we on?
We're on number 8. And after the day at work.
He's not had a great day at work today.
And we have got...
What have you got today? Clockwork.
Sessionable Synchronicity.
Tangerine
Imperial Pale Ale. Have a look.
That's today's Brewdog.
And very nice it is too. I shall now leave you to it and get rid of the dog. Come on, Douglas.
He's keeping a a score of everyone that he it's all over the chair there. Yeah, he's keeping a score of every can that he opens from the calendar every night, and he's giving him a score out of 10 of which ones he really likes. So right, okay. So we should now have something that looks a bit like this. Okay, that centre front seam is done. And then what we can do is we should be able to just put a couple of little stitches in the facing onto that seam line there. You can either hand stitch this or you can do it on your sewing machine as well. I'll probably hand stitch it just to tack that down so it stays in place. So I think that's what it will tell us to do next. Yeah, secure the point of the facing to the centre front seam allowance with a few hand stitches in order to stop it from appearing on the right side of the dress. Okay, so where is, I do actually have some red thread in a needle from, there we go, from something I was sewing earlier. Can't remember what I was sewing earlier actually. Where are we at with the chat? Katie says, "Oh, we've read that one, haven't we?"
I don't know if this is any good, but it's some elasticy stuff that the dog had in his mouth.
Oh, yes, I need that. He pinched my blinking elastic for my dress. Where we were? Okay, Joanne says, "Congratulations to Olivia." Moran Naftali says, "What island?" Joanne says, "I have the Faf Creative icon." Oh wow, you lucky girl. It's an amazing machine. Yes, I would like to upgrade to the Icon 2 because I think that's due out anytime. But I just feel that, do I need it? Anessa says, "That's exciting. You deserve a nice break." Thank you, Anessa. Yes, we've still got to work out everything because obviously I don't want to go down there if Sian's in London and seeing Wilson. That would be a bit silly, wouldn't it? Jenny says, "So would you not use the overlocker for that front seam?" No, because as I have, I mean, you could do, I guess, but as I've just shown, if I just show you again, where are we? Okay, so that's obviously the front seam here because you're pivoting there and you need to cut into it to allow it to lay flat so that on the outside it lays nice and flat, and you would end up with a lot of bulk there if you overlocked it. I guess you could do if you really wanted to, but remember I am going to be lining this as well. So what you could actually do is you could overlock it from where you've cut into it there and then just overlock the front seam down, because this bit on the facing is not going to be exposed anyway because we're going to hand stitch that bit down now. I mean, again, I wouldn't be overlocking this even if I wasn't lining it because it's sequins and I think it would just not, my Overlocker would not be happy at all. Oh, sorry, Moran, what island? Yes, the Isle of Wight. Anna says the gin is winning the race in the drinks line. Yes, it is. It is, totally. Noelia says, I've always wanted to ask, what job does Martin do? Or would you rather not say? I'm sorry for being too nosy. You're not being nosy at all, Noelia. Martin is a prison officer. So, yes, he works in a prison. He works in the prison that I used to work at, actually, but he's worked there a long time. He was a prison officer when I met him and still is. He loves his job. He really loves it. And he's very good at it as well. He's very good with prisoners. Yeah, so, but his stressful days are not generally with the prisoners. It's more with the prison management. Because he is the prison officers union secretary, so he has most of his work, to be honest, these days is involved in meeting after meeting after meeting with the prison senior management team to look at the regime and what's working, what isn't working, and obviously for speaking up on staff behalf and things like that. And yeah, he handles stress very well, though. You know, he comes home, has a bit of a rant about things, and then switches off. So, but he does. He really enjoys it. Sally asks, "What needle are you using, Rachel? And is it coping well with the sequins? I haven't sewed with sequins before." Do you know what, Sally? It is coping really, really well. I am just using a normal standard needle. I'm using the Schmetz Needles. So I bought these from Amazon, and they are, I'm just trying to look at what size they are. There we go, 130705H. And they come in a pack of 100. So yeah, I use those, and I use those generally for most things, unless it's very fine fabrics or activewear. I don't use it for activewear, but it's absolutely fine on this. And this sequin fabric I was showing right at the beginning is, if you look at it, it's not heavily sequined. It's actually oh gosh, I'm not even showing it in the camera, am I? There you go. Look, see, it's got big sequins and small sequins, but there's lots of fabric in between. So it's not very often that the needle's having to go through the sequins, if that makes sense. And so it's seemingly doing fine. I wouldn't want to risk it putting it through my overlocker, though. Right. So I'm really pleased that Piper didn't eat my elastic, because that's the bit we're doing next. So the next bit we're going to do is gather the dress front. Cut a length of clear elastic according to the waist chart on page 3. So obviously this will depend on what size you're doing. So let me just have a quick look at that. Page 3. So for the size 12, I need 19.3 centimeters. Now, hopefully, oh, this is a bit bigger, actually. So I just need to cut this down a little bit. Okay. Right, so I've just cut my elastic to size, and it says, mark the center of the elastic, pin the elastic between the large dots on one side of the center front at the waist, leaving a 1-inch tail for gripping. Pin the marked center of the elastic to the center front seam in line with the large dots, and pin the free end of the elastic in between the second pair of large dots on the other side, again leaving a 1-inch tail. So it doesn't say that you put that on the wrong side of the fabric, but clearly you do. Where are we? Hey Meadow says, isn't that the stressful part of many jobs management? Yeah. Kin Carly says, does he watch Porridge? Usual story with management, especially this government. Do you know what? Martin's watched a lot of prison programs, dramas, whatever you want to call them, over the years, and he always says porridge is the most realistic. Katie says, do you have to remove the sequins on the seam line? Maybe you have already mentioned that earlier. That's fine, Katie. If I was using heavily sequined fabric, which I have used before, then yes, I would, because otherwise it would be really bulky and it would be really difficult to get it to lie flat. But this fabric is fine because, as I say, the sequins are quite scattered rather than really dense, if that makes sense. So the seams seem to be fine. Wendy says, I work for the fire service and thank goodness for the union reps. Yes, well done, Martin. Thank you. Sally says, thanks, Rachel. No problem. Sarah says, love Schmetz needles. I've used them for years. They are really good. Jenny Stevenson says, I think it's the right side. Is it? Is it? It doesn't say. Hang on. Do you know what? I think you're right, actually, Jenny, from remembering when I made this before. You are right. Absolutely. It is the right side. Well done for telling me, Jenny. Otherwise, I'd have been unpicking it off the wrong side of the fabric. Seriously. Yes, it's the right side of the fabric you are attaching your elastic to. So well done for that. Okay, so pin the elastic between the large dots on one side of the center front of the waist, leaving 1-inch top gripping, and then okay, so first things first, I need to mark the center of my elastic. Now you can do this many ways. You can either just use a pin or mark it with a marking tool of some sort. I'm going to just use my little friction pen just to mark that center point there. It's not easy on clear elastic. There we go. So that's that done. Okay, I'm going to do this on my cutting table again. Right, where is the front seam? I'm going to feel very glam in this dress. Now, what I need to do is I just need to grab my front pattern piece. So that I can see where in fact, I'm just going to pin this to it so I can see where that elastic needs to go. I think I'm going to just turn this round actually to make sure it's definitely in the right spot. Okie dokes, right, that's better. So I'm going to just put a couple of pins in. Well, put a pin in so I can see exactly where this needs to be. There. Okay. So that's that side, and then we'll do the same on the other side. grab another pin. Okay. Right, so I don't know if you can see that, but I have, oh, hang on. Help if I turned you back round so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I have put 2 pins there. This is the front, and we're going to attach the elastic at one side, and then where we have put that marking on the center of the elastic, we're going to pin it to the center, and then we're going to start sewing it across so that it ruches in that front. It does say actually as well that if you don't have clear elastic or you don't want to use elastic, you can use gathering stitches as well. So right, let's get this done. So again, I will definitely do this with a stretch stitch. This needs to be a stretch stitch, otherwise it will just break. So that's really important. Okay. If you didn't have clear elastic, I wouldn't use normal elastic for this, because I think it would just end up adding a lot of bulk, and it would be very difficult to hide it as well. I mean, you are going to be putting a belt on this, but yeah, it's it needs to be clear elastic or gathering stitches, I think. Let's just see where we are with the chat. Oh, hang on, let's have a look. Right, okay, yeah, the picture is right side, it's why it's clear. Noelia, I imagine Martin does find working for the union more stressful than dealing with prisoners. Denby sews what? I've got the pattern from Simply Sewing It sewn to the right side. Thank you so much. Erica says, I skipped the elastic and did gathering stitches. For me, it was easier. My machine hates sewing through it. Yeah, it's definitely an alternative option. Ken Carly says, yes, I love porridge. To be fair, it's fairly accurate in lots of ways. Sorry, that was Martin that said that. Davina, I have no idea how you are managing to sew and read messages at the same time. You're amazing. Your dress is looking lovely. Well done. Oh, thank you. I'm quite relaxed and enjoying this, actually. It's quite nice. It's really lovely. Sally Dingle says that's why I call her Wonder Woman. Oh, I'm really not, honestly. Kim Kelly says, oh, Mr. McKay. Erica says, got a dash. All the best with the dress. Can't wait to see it done. Thank you for joining us, Erica. Right. Are we still on zigzag? We are. So I've just put the first couple of zigzag stitches in just to secure the end of the elastic, and then I am going to, what I'm doing, if I don't know if I can show you this. There we go, look, that's better. So the mark is just there. You probably can't see it very well, but I'm just pulling that mark to where the center seam is, and then I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to actually just pin that, because the best I can anyway. There we go. Just so that I can guide the fabric as I'm sewing. So there we go. Right. Okay, I'll take that out now. And then I need to make sure I'm not stitching through. And then obviously I'm just going to pull the tail so that it's just goes slightly beyond the other pin, because that's where we need to finish. So to about there. But yeah, you can probably hopefully see how it's dealing with these sequins. It's quite happy. This might not be perfectly straight. Right. But the belt's going to cover it, so let's see. So it looks a bit messy at the minute, but it's just to cinch it in so that when we get the belt on, it will cover that. Okie dokes. What's next? We are on to page 8, make and attach the waist tie. So I think, yeah, the waist tie, does that, let's have a little look. Am I supposed to have like done the side seams yet? No, because we put the sleeves in on the flat. Okay, that's fine. So the waist ties, right, now I have explained this on the vlog that I've filmed today. Let me just grab the waist ties. Right, so your pattern piece for the waist tie is like that, and it's cut on the fold, and you cut 3 on the fold because it's designed to be quite long. But because I'm using sequin fabric, let me just find my pattern piece. Where are we? Okay, I have actually, what I want to do is I want the back of this to be plain rather than the sequins. So I've cut out my viscose jersey, which is going to be my linings, that's going to be backed with, if that makes sense, so that it just is a little less bulky and less likely to catch. And so what I've done is, because when you sew these together, it's, let me think now, what was I going to say? Yeah, basically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to fold it in half like that, stitch, turn it the right way out. So because I'm not doing that, because I'm not going to be folding mine in half because I'm having them backed with the viscose, I have cut them slightly less wide, if that's the right term, so that I can just face them with the viscose jersey and then turn them the right way around. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But if you're using obviously the same fabric, then absolutely just follow the instructions as they say. So Eileen says, you so are a Wonder Woman, and Martin's pretty impressive too. Hey Meadow says, you may have already mentioned, but have you heard back from the 2 jobs? Go with your gut feeling, offered both. I have been offered both, yes. And I am going with my gut feeling. So I am going to accept the one that's in the community, not the one at the practice. Thank you. Yes, they both rang me today, this morning. Francine says, what a lovely gathering of sewing friends. Thank you so much, Rachel. Fun. You're very welcome. Denby Sews What says, I'm away now, Rachel. So lovely to sew with you. Normally I am sewing on my own. Look forward to seeing the finished dress. I shall post mine to Instagram. Brilliant. Have a great night, day, everyone. Sloss and Orchid says, I'm having a chuckle as I've realized that I'm having a very similar monologue every time I'm sewing, minus the audience. Jojo says, ooh, I can hear the kettle going, and movement in the kitchen sounds like there might be a cup of tea in my near future. Look at me. I've still got juice, gin, coffee. It's all going on here. Lottie Biscotti, I love the name, says, I'm inspired now to make a Christmas Day dress, and it's going to be red. Fantastic. Caroline LaPlante says, working today, but I will listen in. At least my work day will be more enjoyable. Oh, thank you, Caroline. Hey Meadow says, congratulations. Thank you. So we now have the delightful task of sewing all the strips of waistband together, which is, to be fair, is fairly straightforward. Again, these are going to be stretch stitch because it's got to stretch. Leonie says, I have to dash too. Thanks so much for the Sewalong, Rachel. That dress will be amazing. Can't wait to see you finish. Thank you, Leonie, for joining us. Anna says, you just need some chocolates to go with your drinks. Oh, Anna, I need to stay off the chocolates, honestly. I'm on a bit of a health kick now. Granted, it has only started today, and I'm still having alcohol, clearly. But yeah, but you know, 2 weeks before Christmas is probably not the best time to be trying to abstain from chocolate. Right, so I've got all my faced pieces together. I'm just going to, well, I think I'm going to put the facing, the jersey bits together, viscose jersey bits together, and then open out all the seams and then sew them together, right sides together with the sequin fabric. Oh, this viscose jersey just curls as well. It is so lightweight. Okay, so I'm going to press these seams open and then we're going to stitch both right sides together. Okay, that's those seams pressed open. So I'm now going to just pin these right sides together and then sew all the way around, leaving a gap to be able to turn them the right way out. Where are we up to? Leonie says, I have to dash too. Thanks so much for the Sewalong, Rachel. That dress will be amazing. Oh, I've read that out, haven't I, already? And Anna's message. Sandra, congratulations on the job. Thank you. Sally, fab news about the job. It is, thank you. Jane says, I've already cracked open the lager. Good for you, Jane. Large tub of roses. Oh, do you know, we bought Celebrations and Miniature Heroes for Christmas. And we've eaten both of them. It's really not very good. Bronte FaceTimed me a couple of weeks ago and she saw the box in the background and she was like, oh, you've got Miniature Heroes for Christmas. And I was like, no, it's empty. We've eaten them. She wasn't happy. Karen says, congratulations on the job. Enjoying watching and listening. Thank you for joining us, Karen. Anna says, apparently dog chocolate is good and as the fat is removed. I think I'll pass, but thank you for that. Jojo says, I'm up to the burrito bit. Shudders, wish me luck. Good luck, Joe. You can do it. You can do it. Sally says, can anyone sew as fast as Rachel? Hey Meadow says, nope, not a chance, Sally. I don't know. This blinking Thea blouse is going to take me forever because I now need to take off the sleeves, recut the sleeves. I also need to take off that button band as well. No, the button, what should have been the button band, but actually is the buttonhole band. I need to take that off and recut that as well. And it's all French seamed, so yeah, all that needs doing. So that blouse will have taken me weeks by the time I get round to finishing it off. But it will be worth it when it's done because it is a lovely blouse. I really like it. And I would like to sort of make it into a dress, add a skirt on of some sort, maybe a tiered skirt. That would be very bohemian, wouldn't it? But I think just getting the blouse right for now is going to be an achievement in itself. Where are we at to? Hey Meadow says no. Oh no, I'm up to date. I'm up to date. That's good. Allows me to get this silly belt pinned together. Right, it's all pinned together, right sides together. I'm going to sew all the way sort of like round both ends and one long edge and then the other long edge probably to the middle and then pull both ends through, if that makes sense. I think that's probably going to be the easiest way to do this. And again, this has to be a stretch stitch, otherwise it's just going to snap as soon as you start moving it. So who's betting that this thread is not going to snap, get all the way around this belt without snapping once? I don't think so. There we go. I don't think we're halfway yet. I might, if it's not playing, I might actually swap it with a Gutterman thread because this is a lot of stitching to do in one go. Oh, now my needle thread, I won't thread. Oh, there we go. We'll see. We'll see if it snaps again. If it snaps again, I'm pretty sure I have a Gutterman that's going to be colour that's going to be fine for this. So if it snaps again, I will swap it while I'm doing the belt. Done it again. 2 secs. That will be fine. Not having it. So yeah, what I've been using is just this moon thread, but I've just pulled off my Gutterman one and it's a slightly different colour. This is a bit more cerise, but It'll be fine. Okay. Right. This should be fine now. Where are we up to? Hey Meadow says it'll be well worth it. Such a pretty blouse you'll be wearing regularly just to get you your money's worth. Yeah, absolutely. Alison from Manly says hello from Manly, Sydney, Australia. Hello, Alison. Thank you for joining us today. Marie says hello from Long Island, New York. Hello, Marie. Early morning there, I think, isn't it? Hey Meadow says hi, Alison. Haley from Adelaide here. Good morning. Good morning to you all. This is a really long belt. Really, really long. See, it's happy now. It's not snapping. Right. Back up the other side. Oh, heck. Hang on. I've just got the belt caught in the stitching. The other end of the belt. That's not good. I'm glad I've got the unpicker handy. Where are we up to? Sheila says, my back tells me I need to go, but really enjoyed this so long. Done more than I expected, if not at your speed. I'm looking forward to seeing your glam dress tomorrow, Rachel. Thank you. You're very welcome, Sheila. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad you've got some sewing done. Alison says, hello, Haley. Debbie says, hello from Nottingham. I hope you are feeling well now those interviews are out of the way. I am. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, it's awful having interviews, isn't it? Sally says, belts and circle skirt hems are killer. Oh, yes. However, I don't hand sew skirt hems anyway. I don't sew them. I don't do a straight seam. I like to have an invisible seam. So I totally get the hand sewing. However, I do a blind stitch on my sewing machine so that you can't see it. And it's just so much quicker. I do like hand sewing, don't get me wrong, but I don't like doing the same thing, if that makes sense. I mean, this belt is driving me mad now because it's just monotonous, very much like the quilting that I was doing, the stitch in the ditch. I just find it, if I'm doing the same sort of bit over and over and over and it's just prolonged, I'll be honest, it just drives me mad. And I think if I was hand stitching an entire circle skirt hem, I would probably lose the will. And it would probably go out of the window. Right, that was very silly, but I've managed to rescue that's it. I think that's fine. Okay, so let's just carry on. Oh, hang on, where are we? Are we there? Yes, there we are. Okay. Oh, help if I put the foot back on. Hey, dear me. Where are we at to? Martin says, hello, Long Island, Adelaide and Nottingham. Hey Meadow says, hi, Martin. I'm enjoying watching the BMS cameos. Vicky says, how's your knitting going? Only reason I ask is because I'm sat knitting instead of sewing. It's not really at the minute. I keep looking at it, you know, on these really sort of cold days we have where I don't feel like sewing. I don't have the energy to sew. And I keep thinking, I should just get out my knitting. And because I have got, you know, a number of projects on the go, and I haven't done any on it for ages, but it'll be one of those things that when I do pick it up, I won't be able to put it down. I am in the middle of sewing another Whitmore sweater by Taylor S Studio. I've started my second one of those because I made it last year and I really love it. But then for those of you that watch Kittenish Behaviour, Sian on her hangout the other day was wearing a new jumper that her mum has just made her. Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. If you've not seen it, you need to go and have a look. And when I saw that, I went onto Ravelry. I haven't bought the pattern yet, but I was looking at it thinking, I really want to make that. I think the problem is for me is that I'm really impatient and I like to, I mean, the thing with sewing is you can create something fairly quickly, and obviously knitting, it takes a lot longer. And when I start something, I want to wear it and I want to get it done. And I can imagine that pattern that Sian's mum made for her must have taken, it'd take me forever. But it is really gorgeous. Oh, this is the only thing with zigzag stitch as well, isn't it? Or any stretch stitch, that you can't just whiz through. It just takes a lot longer, doesn't it? Hey there. So it's all stitched wrong sides together. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to snip off the corners, and I am not trimming all these seams down because it will be fine. But I'm going to snip these corners off. You should see the state of this place. Honestly, there are sequins everywhere. And then I am going to turn it out when I can find the bit that I didn't sew. There we go. So I've left a bit in the middle here, unsewn along one edge. And I use a chopstick for turning because it's just easy. So I just basically put one end over the end of the chopstick. Oops. The other reason why I've used viscose as well is because I had no idea how 2 rows of sequin fabric in a narrow belt would turn. I thought that might be really awkward. And when I'm doing a live sew along, I thought that could be a little bit problematic, so decided against that. Okay, so Carrie Van Herk says miserably cold Edmonton, Canada here. Boo. Where are we? That's one side. Antonia says beautiful and sunny in Vancouver after 3 weeks of rainstorms. Yes, I heard about the bad weather you've had over there in BC. To be fair, when we went in June 2019, it was not the weather we were expecting, but we still had an amazing time. And Martin and I are desperate to go back. Next year, next September would be our 25th wedding anniversary, and we'd love just the 2 of us to go back. We actually wanted to go to New Zealand. That was the plan for our 25th wedding anniversary because it's a place Martin's really wanted to visit for a long time, and I'd love to go too. But obviously with COVID, I know that New Zealand, their borders weren't open at all. I think that they are now, aren't they? But for how long is anybody's guess. So just trying to make travel plans at the minute it's really difficult, isn't it? Oh, hang on. That's it. But yeah, we definitely want to go back to Canada because it's just the most amazing place. Amazing. Where are we? Alison from Manly says sun is coming through the clouds here in Manly with scattered showers. Doesn't feel like summer. Noelia says, I've taken up knitting recently. I'm making a jumper, but it's taken a long time. It certainly takes longer than sewing. I do like Sian's new jumper. It's beautiful, isn't it? Really beautiful. Vicky says, I need to do the Whitmore. It is gorgeous. And yes, Sian's jumper was lush. Antonia says, I can't stand watching TV without something to do with my hands, so I knit. Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? I'm a bit the same, but I don't tend to watch much TV. I tend to end up scrolling on an iPad and looking at fabric and patterns and things and then pressing buy it now. And maybe I should knit instead, get my knitting out. It'll stop me buying things. Ashley says, I love Sian's new sweater. Yeah, very tempted to purchase it. I'm knitting a super cute hooded baby blanket. While watching this live stream. How lovely. Dawn says, just hems for me and I'm done. Loving the result for a wearable muslin. Thanks, Rachel. Wow, well done, Dawn. Did you get a head start on the rest of us? Alice says, I wish I knew how to knit. I think all the knitwear that Sian's mum makes her is beautiful. It really is, yeah. Dawn says, couldn't have done it without your instruction. I bet you could, Dawn. It's just nice to sew along with somebody else, isn't it? That's the thing. Jane says you should visit Oregon too. Yes. I would love to go to Oregon. Absolutely. Lorianne has often mentioned it and she knows how much I would love that place because it is my kind of place. Lorianne says, Jane, do you live in Oregon? Rachel Martin can visit the both of us. Yes, I would love to come. Lorianne would love to come. Andy, sorry. Lol, it didn't stop me buying. I just bought yarn instead of fabric. Yes. Right. So I'm just going to press this, and then I just need to stitch up that little gap. Okay, where is the gap? So I've pressed it and I can't find the gap now that I need to stitch up. It's got to be here somewhere. Ah, found it. There you are. So I'm just going to slip stitch this closed. Where are we up to? Jane says, yeah, I live in Tigard. Is it Tigard? And says to Lorianne, how about you? Debbie says, Martin, my husband is a union rep with the DVLA. He loves Brewdog too. What is it with unions and beer? Do you know what, Debbie? I think it's just a man thing. Where are my little snips? No. Jojo says the burrito wasn't happening. I'm using a thick bouncy Liverpool crepe type fabric and with the max length there's too much. Hey ho, a hand stitch it. That's totally fine, Joe. I think it's totally fabric dependent on whether the burrito will work with it, because it's a really tight turn, isn't it? I've still got today's vlog to edit too. So guess who's going to be having a late night tonight? But the good thing is, I'm not at work at the crack of dawn in the morning, so that's good. I am at work tomorrow, but not super early, so. And I'm always awake really early anyway. For those of you that are in the UK, has anybody, because obviously I started this live at 6, and I know we don't want to sort of talk too much about the sea thing, and that's not the Christmas thing, but I know our esteemed leader Boris was having wasn't he doing another one of his whatever it is that he does at 6 o'clock, announcements or whatever? Has anything major changed? Can anybody tell me? Jenny says, I have to go now, Rachel. Thank you so much. I hope to see your finished dress tomorrow. You are a star of all your videos. Martin is a treasure too. Hope I bump into you in Walter sometime. You never know, Jenny, because I'm in there fairly often. Noelia says, I've just realised I have this pattern. I got it free with the Simply Sew magazine a few months ago. There's some fabric in Minerva that I have my hand that would be lovely in this dress. Oh, wonderful. Noelia says, that's what we've just said, actually. Sorry. Kim Kelly says the sea thing is the right expression for Boris. Yes, we won't say that. I know we're a bit in uproar really with what's been going on, aren't we? For those of you that aren't in the UK, if you want to know, there's a bit of a problem that's been discovered in the fact that when we were locked down last Christmas and we couldn't see anybody or do anything at all, the government apparently had a party, and it's just come to light. So delete them off too. Boris said work from home where possible. That might make my work drive a little bit easier. Sloth and Orchid says blogging can be a full-time job. Yes, it could, absolutely. Fiona says he's taken us into plan B, whatever that is. Yeah, his explanations, we're none the wiser, aren't we? Sloths and Orchids, I've heard something about plan B being put in place. Christine, not a fan of B, but better than the alternative. I think we're a bit stuck really, aren't we, at the moment? Debbie Collington says, when you said the C thing, I thought you meant Colville. As for COVID, more masks and restrictions from Monday. More masks? How many more masks can we make? Can we wear? Sean's back. Hi, Sean. That was quick editing. Mind you are a super expert at it now. I'm still eating my tea. Right. So we have the elastic on the front. We have the waistband constructed. Now we have to find and mark the center point of the waist tie. Match this to the center front seam in the midst of the gathered section. Pin the waist tie on either side of the center front so it covers the clear elastic or gathering stitches. Top stitch it in place along the upper and lower edges using a straight stitch. No stretch is required here. Very close to the edge from the start to the end of the gathering. The waist tie is now attached. So this actually picture does explain it very well. So you essentially, I can't see where my finger is, finding the center of your waist tie, attaching it to the center of the front seam on the outside, on the right side of the fabric, and then stitching top and bottom just where the ruching is. So we can do that. We can do that. I've just got to find the center of this enormous waist tie. Martin says, yep, plan B, work from home, face coverings in public and COVID passports, negative lateral flows to get into certain places, events. The thing for me, I don't want us to get all political unless people want to, but I think the thing for me is that I have to do lateral flows for work. So I have to do them every 72 hours because obviously of my job. I haven't got an issue with that. But for those of you that don't do them often, the problem with the lateral flows are they require honesty. And when you do the lateral flow test and you upload it into in the UK into our NHS app, it asks you it's got a QR code on it so I can scan it with my phone, but then it asks me what the result was. So, it says, is it positive, negative, or what's the other word, where it's not done it, it's a failure or whatever, the test has failed or something. So you can choose what the result is. So that's all I have to say about that. Sian said 11-minute waffle today. Super duper. Can't wait. Carrie says, sounds like Alberta here. Martin says, only 11 minutes, Sian. Love your mum and dad on your Vlogmas. Your dad makes me smile. Sian says, thank you, Martin. Christine says, we need to get a grip and come out from behind the sofa. Noelia says, I'm so over the LFTs. I get a nosebleed every time I take one. I have to do it twice a week. Oh, Noelia, bless you. Right, let's stick this onto the waistband. I do remember now. Thank you so much to Jenny. I think she's gone, but I know when I was going to stick this on the wrong side of the fabric, I remember thinking that when I made this the first time, because I was thinking, but you're going to see it. If you put it on the right side of the fabric, it's going to show. But we cover it up. So right. So we have the waistband pinned to cover the elastic, and we're going to top stitch it using a straight stitch. So we're going to straight stitch it top and bottom just to hold that in place. So that's the first needle I've broken where it's hit a sequin. Out of all the sequins that I've sewn over this evening, the first one it's done. So that's 2 needles we've broken tonight. Oh, now my needle threader doesn't want to thread. We're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Where are we up to? Lisa says, hi, Rachel from Noosa, Australia. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for joining. Jenny says, I'm still here. Oh, super, Jenny. Sean says, Wilson wants to chat. I shall possibly be back later. The dress is looking gorgeous. So much fun hanging out with you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for joining us. Say hello to Wilson. Right. Needle is threaded. I'll maybe sew a bit slower over this bit. Okay, that's one side. And then we'll just stitch the other side. Just capture that loose thread. Bit of thread keeps sticking to my finger. Okay, so that's done. Mad 14 KT Rachel, where did you get your pin cushion? It's cute. This one, I got this from Etsy. It was actually from America, so the shipping cost almost as much as a pin cushion. I think it was something like $8, something like that, but the shipping was more. But I love it. It's really nice. Christine says, is the elastic purely to gather the front as it wouldn't stretch with the tie sewn over it? Yes, it's to just create that sort of sunburst ruching effect at the front. Christine says, gather as in give it shape. Yes, yes. So that is now, when I just get rid of these loose ties, threads even. So that is now top stitched in place on the front. So we're starting to look something like a dress. So that will then tie around like, well, probably not like that, but like that somewhat, if that makes sense. It's looking very glamorous, isn't it? So next up, I need to insert the sleeves. And I'll just turn you around again. Like most sleeves in jersey fabric, you do them flat, you don't set them in. So we just need to lay out the fabric, the dress, and make sure we put them in the right way around. So you've got double notches for the back and single notches for the front, and there is a notch for the shoulder seam as well, so it should be fairly, this is really heavy. Pattern pieces decide to fall on the floor. that's one side. We'll just turn it round and do the other. Where are we? There we go. Okay. Right, so they are pinned in place, and again we need to stitch these with a stretch stitch so that we have that ease of movement when we move about once the sleeves are in place. Where are we up to? Amanda says, hello, not sewing along as I have a newborn, taking up lots of time, but I'm loving it. Oh, congratulations, Amanda. All the Vlogmas videos keeping me sane through many sleepless nights. Bless you. Yes, I remember those days. And I do not envy you in the slightest, not for the sleepless nights. Jane says, wow, love that colour. Jenny says, that is going to look amazing on you. I hope so. Debbie says, good night, lovely people. Time to get my son to bed. It's been great seeing you. Good night, Debbie. Thank you for joining. Christine says, wow. Vicky says, have you got a special occasion to wear your dress to? Christmas dinner at Shea Ridgeway. Carrie says, just what I was wondering. Annette says, hi from New Zealand. I am enjoying this so long. Hello, Annette, and welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying it. So we're going to get these sleeves in, and then we'll be able to sew up the side seams. That's one sleeve, and where's the other? So much fabric. Yes, I need Martin to take me somewhere really fancy, don't I, to wear this. I'll have to give him a hint. That sounds like my bobbin thread's running out. Yeah. Not going to win at bobbin chicken today, that's for sure. Where are we up to? Annette says, oh yes, sorry, I read that one. Jenny says, are you lining it? Yes, I am going to line it. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting the main dress together, and then I'm going to put the lining together and then slip them inside each other, if that makes sense. That's the plan. And then I will stitch them at the shoulder seams and the sleeve seams, if that makes sense. And then I'll leave it floating free inside, if that makes sense, so that it hangs properly. Just fill up my bobbin. I don't generally like using Gutterman in my bobbin because it feels a bit of a waste. Mainly because my machine is quite happy with anything in the bobbin. It's just the top thread. Needle thread is working again. Right, let's get this sleeve in. We're nearly there. Piper's barking at something. Right, so sleeves are now in on the flat. What we're going to do now is join up the side seams, and then we'll have the outer dress done, which is amazing. So I'm going to get these pinned together. What I'm going to do, because time is cracking on, it's 9:30. We've been at it 3.5 hours, which is not bad, really, is it? To say we've had a few issues with sequins and whatnot, but I'm getting myself in the right tiz here. There we go. What I thought I would do is get the side seams sewn up. I'm going to put it on the mannequin to show you how it looks, and then probably leave it there for tonight, because I need to, my next bit is to start on the lining, which obviously it's a bit late to be doing that tonight because I still have Vlogmas to edit. Sloths and Orchids says, we'll help. Martin, what's that fancy place you're taking Rachel for dinner to? Dawn says, I'm off now, Rachel. Thanks for a lovely evening. I've really enjoyed it. I'm so grateful that you could join us, Dawn. Thank you so much, and enjoy your lovely Mayfair dress. Sally Dingle says, yes, Martin. Jenny says, very clever. I am learning so much. Oh, I'm so pleased. I was thinking, I've been thinking for a while about doing something like this, and I was thinking, it'd be nice to do them a bit more regularly, even get you guys to come up with what you'd like a sew along to, and we can just do a live sew along, and people can just sew at their own pace. It's really informal. And will we see a try on today, do you think? That's from Elaine. Probably not tonight. It's probably a little bit late tonight for me now. But I will try it on tomorrow and put it in tomorrow's Vlogmas. PRDSJ family. Hello, Rachel and Martin. Really? Oh, that message has gone. Martin's singing in the kitchen. He's obviously in a good mood. Carol Mary 07 says, himself is out, so you all have kept me and the dog company have been really nice, not feeling on my own. Oh, Carol, I'm so pleased. it's a tough thing, isn't it? And yeah, I get like that sometimes when I'm alone. And don't get me wrong, I love my own company, but sometimes, yeah, it's just nice to feel like you feel like you're part of something, isn't it? Where we're at to. Vicky says, I'm off now, Rachel. Thanks for taking the time. I know it can be so precious, although you are doing your most favourite thing in the world, so I'm sure you don't mind. I don't mind at all. I've really enjoyed it. PRDSJ family says, hi, Rachel and Martin. Really enjoy your videos with love from Australia. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining. Hey, Meadow, I wish I was sewing along, but I'm editing contract documents for work. Boo. I'll sew this evening, making quiet books for my niece and nephew for Christmas. That sounds really lovely. I'm just pinning up the last side seam, and then we can get this stitched. Caroline says, thank you, Rachel. I've enjoyed the afternoon. You're very welcome, Caroline. Wendy says, with like-minded people is lovely. It really is, absolutely. Because it's such a solitary hobby, isn't it, sewing? That's the thing. Right, that is both side seams pinned. We are ready to sew. Okay. Jenny says, I'm an hour ahead in France and have an early start tomorrow. Thanks very much, Rachel. Look forward to your Vlogmas tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us, Jenny. Good night, and I hope you sleep really well. Right, that's one side seam, second side seam to do. And then we can put it on the mannequin. And hopefully get an idea what it's going to look like. Phew. Now, obviously, if this was a normal jersey, I would have just run that through my overlocker and it would have been 100 times as quick as that. But because it's sequins, I just didn't want to do that. So where are we at to? Carol Mary 07 says, especially when working from home most of the week. Wendy says, with like-minded people is lovely. Yes, sorry, we've read those. Carol says, inner sewing funk, boo. So many lovely vlogmases to aid my procrastination. I'm the world's worst procrastinator. Thanks to all the YouTubers. Carol also says, oh, sorry, that's posted twice. Wendy says, night, Rachel, well done. Look forward to your next vlogmas. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for joining us and sleep tight. Mary says, good morning from Australia. Good morning, Mary, and welcome. So the outer dress is now constructed and I'm at the point where I can put it on the mannequin and show you how it looks. So first things first, I need to remove the dress that shall not be named. Let me bring the mannequin over. Try not to knock everything over. Ooh, my roll of tracing paper is going to disappear soon. We're sort of rapidly running out of space in here, guys. Okay, so let me just undo the zip on the dress that shall not be named, as I'm calling it at the minute. Anybody who saw my vlog yesterday will understand why. So we'll just bob that to one side. I'll put this on the mannequin and then you can see how it looks. Now, the mannequin is not my size at the minute. It was my size. Well, actually, it was bigger than what I was. And now it's a little bit smaller than what I am. So it is, just bear that in mind. But I know this dress will fit me because my other Mayfair dress still fits me. So let me just try and get this to look sort of decent so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. Oh, I'll take that out of there. I'll just tie that in a bow for now at the back. Just try and get this to sit right around the neck. Get that arm out there. That's looking rather nice. What do we think, guys? Let me know what you think. How does she look? I'll bring her there and then I can sit down. It's looking good, isn't it? So yeah, you can see how this collar construction just gives you this gorgeous draping around the front, and it's just so elegant, and I think it's going to look lovely, isn't it? Really nice. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. So next step is to create the lining, which I'll then insert, and I will stitch it at the shoulder seams and probably around the armhole seams as well. And then I'll be able to hem it with the hem of the main sleeves, and then I'll allow it to just drape. It will obviously be stitched around the neckline as well, but then the rest of it will just drape and it will be finished. So I will try it on tomorrow. I'm probably going to leave it here now, if that's all right with you guys, because it's 20 to 10 and I've still got Vlogmas to edit for tomorrow. So yes, I am going to look at Marilyn's dress because we might end up naming this the Marilyn dress. Who knows? Oh, you've just given me such lovely, lovely comments. Thank you so much. Oh, bless you. I'm just reading all your comments out. It's amazing. Eileen says, it looks beautiful as expected. Can't wait to see it on you. Thank you. Maggie says, looks great. Well done. Really enjoyed this evening. I'm so pleased. I'm so glad that you've been able to sew along with me. Even if you have sewed along with me, that's fantastic. You know, if you've been sewing your own project, then that's great, because I appreciate it's not a style that everybody would want to sew anyway, because that's what sewing is about, isn't it? It's all doing what we enjoy and what is right for us. And yeah, if you haven't been sewing, but just been here to join in the chat and, you know, spend an evening with me, then thank you so much. I've really enjoyed everybody's company. It's been really lovely, and I'd love to do it again. So yes, keep an eye out on Vlogmas over the next few days. Hopefully I'll get this finished and be able to try it on for you. And yeah, I'm going to say good night to you all now. If you're just getting up in another part of the world, then have a great day. If in my part of the world you're just about to head off to bed, then I hope you get a great night's sleep, and I will love you and leave you and see you all really soon. Take care, guys. Bye.